complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
And welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Monday, everybody. There are no dark Mondays around here.
Not a dark Monday
There
in
are
sight.
zero dark Mondays.
Zero dark 30 Monday.
Zero dark Mondays. Because this is Up Tempo today. Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims recapping a big weekend in college athletics, Baylor athletics in general. How about the men's tennis team? That's exactly what it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Big 12 champions this weekend under head coach Michael Woods.
Need that jewelry. Need that jewelry.
Get it for them.
Get them fitted.
They got a ring.
Get them fitted up.
Not only that, open practice on Saturday that you were at for Baylor football.
I was at free of charge. They didn't even card me.
Really?
They didn't card me when I walked in.
You are older than 21.
I'm over 21. No, it was really good. I was happy to go. A lot of fun. Excited for the spring game.
Not
Saturday.
only that, volleyball played in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. That was in Omaha, Nebraska against Nebraska. They fell in that one. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right.
Softball swept by Oklahoma State, number 11 Oklahoma State on the road this weekend. Baseball, they got the series win against Kansas with an offensive onslaught on Saturday. Fell in a tight 3-2 game on Sunday, but took another series win, trying to build their resume before postseason play starts.
They're trending up. They're trending up right now.
They're trending up. They're looking pretty good. Softball's still trying to get their season back on track right now. But the talk of the day today, the Baylor Bears are national champions in men's basketball. That's wild. That's still wild. But the talk of the day today, 254-339-1122. This is the week to talk about it. The green and gold game, the spring game takes place this Saturday. Football's back, baby.
Football's back in Waco. I'm a little biased because obviously playing football, I love so much that we're getting to finally talk about these spring games around the country. A lot of big spring games this past weekend with Bama, with Ohio State.
Utah played its spring game.
A la Charlie Brewer. Listen, everybody who was talking down on Charlie Brewer that called this show was saying Chuck was the problem. Call back because he was 15 for 15 in the spring game, 2 touchdowns in one half of play. He's going to be the guy for Utah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Utah Utes. And he could have been that for Baylor if y'all just been nice to him and got him a halfway decent offensive line. He would have been fine.
Over under.
You sneeze?
No. Give me Bear Games question of the day. Does Charlie Brewer win the Heisman this year?
Stop. Brewer or the field? Brewer or the field?
He went 15 for 15.
Dude, he's good. He's good. And we've been saying it all season long. Like, if he had a little bit of help, he'd be just fine. I worry about his health a little bit, though. Poor guy's taking some hits to the head. Not his fault. He just plays like an absolute man-possessed.
He also didn't have an offensive line.
He didn't have an offensive line. Which, like, no, I I think also a lot of it was the scheme. Like Larry Fedora was not putting him in position to succeed.
Yeah, give me Charlie Brewer with Jeff Grimes, and you've got a Heisman quarterback on your hands.
I think it's a different story.
For those who are just joining, 254-339-1122, text us or call us to get into the action. Charlie Brewer, Chucky Brew, this weekend, who we talked about all too much this past fall. It's tough to believe. It's tough to think back to the fact that Charlie Brewer was a quarterback on Baylor's roster just a couple months ago.
He is the reason that we have up-tempo. Without the Charlie Brewer content, I don't know that up-tempo exists.
Honestly?
You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, yes. Post-game shows go much differently if it's not for Charlie Brewer and everyone calling in wanting to talk about Charlie Brewer. That or Jens Danielson.
Yeah.
Which Baylor Bigfoot is on the line that we're going to talk to. Yeah. We're going to talk to him in a little bit. Charlie Brewer, 15 for 15, 2 touchdowns, QBR of 228.6.
He was on fire.
In the first half. Apparently Utah's got a good defense too. Is that real?
I think they got a good defense. I don't follow the Pac-12 as closely as I would like to, but I know Utah is good. I know Utah is going to be very good this upcoming season. Them and USC in the South will be going toe-to-toe.
Jeez. 15 for 15. Charlie Brewer lit it up in the red and black game, as they call it over there in Utah. But Baylor had an open practice this past weekend. They've got the spring game coming up this weekend. At what time? I thought it was noon.
I think it's noon, yeah.
Is it still
Plus.
ESPN Plus. So we're going to be on. Mom, we're on TV.
On Roku.
So how do we feel after this last Saturday's practice? What are some of your takeaways?
I think one of the biggest takeaways that I had was they're going to be okay as long as they can settle on a quarterback somewhat early. Because what it felt like to me was they were trying to figure out how to ride a horse. Offensively, they're trying to ride a horse, and they kept switching. They kept trying to switch jockeys.
That's equestrian.
It's a metaphor. They kept trying to switch jockeys. I think it was hard for me to get a real good sense of who the best quarterback was because – one, they would take a 3-step drop and have someone in their lap, which is a testament to the defense, but also it's a little bit of a concern with the offensive line.
We're still doing this.
That's kind of how it looked. I think the encouraging thing was the running game was trying to go north and south as opposed to a lot of the horizontal stuff we saw a year ago. So that was encouraging. They're picking up positive yardage. Also, they were taking more shots downfield, getting the tight end involved more. I liked the wheel routes they threw to the tailbacks, which we saw BYU have a lot of success last year. So one thing that I think Gary Bohannon started with the ones, took the first series with the ones as Shapen did in the first open practice. So one can only assume they're just rotating. It was his day. One thing that I did read into, whether it was too much or not, Jacob Zeno did not play with anyone that I saw outside of the ones. So really? Zeno so they went through all the quarterbacks, and then he took the second series with the ones. So as opposed to it being like Bohannon, Zeno, Shapen, it was just wait till the ones go back up, then Zeno plays. So, the offense looked noticeably different under Zeno. It had actual tempo. It moved. It moved and it scored. So there's a lot to unpack there. I don't know that you can really glean too much from 2 open practices, but hopefully the spring game tells us more of a story. In my mind, I still think it's Zeno's to lose, and he looked pretty good.
Zeno's to lose, and he looked good this weekend. And maybe it's Jacob Zeno. Maybe Jacob Zeno is the guy in the end that Baylor goes with. We're talking about that all day today. Spring ball this weekend, green and gold game. We're going to see live action between the offense and the defense for the first time starting this weekend. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
We got Baylor Bigfoot on the line right here. Baylor Bigfoot, this is going to be good. What's going on, Baylor Bigfoot? Happy Monday.
Hello.
Hey, Baylor Bigfoot, what's going on?
Guys, it's Baylor Bigfoot. Double B's on the phone. First-time caller. Long-time listener. Guys, I want to also say, and I want to start out by saying, I am sponsored by Double R Burgers.
Yep.
Head over to Double R Burgers. Ask for the Bigfoot special and tell them Bigfoot sent you.
Tell them Bigfoot sent you. See what happens.
I know. Last call, I made the show. I had a homies and haters list. And I would now like to add one to each list.
Okay.
They're both number 1, though. Okay?
Charlie Brewer.
So, which one do you want me to start with?
Let's go haters to homies.
Yep.
Is that what you're going to say?
Haters to homies.
Yeah. Guys, number 1 on the haters list is Pat 40 for telling us, like this, who needs rival negative recruiters in response to Scott Drew returning his Jeep. That is such an insult, and it made me so mad that I punched through a wall.
Oh, my gosh. No, you
didn't. I cried as soon as I punched through the wall.
Jeez. Baylor Bigfoot, are you all right?
All right, guys. It was just something I got mad about, but then I realized Pat 40 is a loser who has never won anything in his life.
That's arguable. Who's your new homie?
Well, what are you talking about? He's never coached. He's never played. He was an NFL star and a Baylor football legend like myself. I mean, what are you talking about?
I mean, he does have 339,000 followers on Twitter, so if you're putting any stock in that.
Blue check.
Blue check.
Fox, trust me.
Who's your homie, Baylor Bigfoot?
Anyway, guys, the number one homie this week, Mike Woodson, the head coach of Baylor.
Mike Woodson.
For winning the Big 12 for Scotty B himself and myself and T-Rex. For the triumvirate of Baylor fans.
Wow. Okay. You had the Bear Games question of the day today for Baylor Bigfoot.
Yeah, Baylor Bigfoot. You got to solve a Rubik's Cube. You get one Baylor football player to do it. Who you taking?
Past Baylor football players or current?
You get only current players on the roster.
Man. I'm going to go. Tough one.
Yeah, this is the stuff we bring on.
I'll take Dylan Doyle because it's his birthday today.
It is
Happy
Dylan
birthday,
Doyle.
Dylan.
DD. Also, Baylor Bigfoot.
Is his birthday?
It is Dylan Doyle's birthday today. A picture came out. It was Jack Wheeler that told us that too. A picture came out where UCF for their spring game put Twitter handles on the back of their players' uniforms. What do you think about that? That's a Bear Games question of the day. I want to get some thoughts on that.
That's a good Bear Games question.
You know, I would have loved to have my Twitter handle on my jersey back when I played. Too bad I had my account got deleted at 1,005,100 followers. But guys, I think that's a great idea. I wouldn't do it during the season, but I would definitely do it during a spring game.
Lock it in during spring game only.
Do you like that?
Just shows you what kind of guy Gus Malzahn is too. He should have never been fired at Auburn.
That is Gus.
I like Gus.
That is Gus. Hey, thanks for your call, Baylor Bigfoot. Say it. Yeah, I gave him a chance.
Dang it.
There it is. Yeah, I think I'm listen. There it is. We got G-Dub coming up here in a little bit. What do you think about Twitter handles on the back of players' jerseys instead of their names?
It's kind of tacky.
Think so?
I think it's kind of tacky. I mean, I guess I get it for a spring game, but does it really is that really what you want to promote if you're a head football coach at a school like UCF? Like, I feel like it just kind of takes away some credibility. Like, Alabama's not doing that. Anybody who means something in college football isn't doing that. Ohio State, Bama. I mean, Clemson. Like, nobody's promoting their social media prowess in that sense. Like, just let's worry about football.
It's very much we're trying to fit in by fitting out. You know, it's that we want to be like waymakers, way pavers.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't see that being a thing. Yeah. I'm fine with it. It's not like I didn't cry myself to sleep over it.
Yeah.
But also Twitter handles on the back of your jersey instead of your names.
Yeah. It's like, what's really important to you?
Right. Why are we starting there too? Like, oh, hey, let's put something different on the back of our jersey instead of our name. Oh, my Twitter handle.
Pitch that to Nick Saban. He would lose his freaking mind. Clemson actually goes off Twitter. Like, all of their players go off of Twitter during the season.
Fire that in the sun.
I mean, I don't know, bro. It works, so it's worked for them.
Yeah.
It's worked for them.
254-339-1122. Call us or text us. Find the best way to watch for you. You can watch on YouTube.
Yep.
You can watch on Roku. You can download the app and listen or watch on the app. Find the best way to listen to or watch up-tempo for you on your weekdays, lunchtime. Baylor, take on your lunch break.
I love it.
G-Dub on the impact or on the caller line. G-Dub, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys?
Happy Monday. It's a Monday.
Last one of the week.
Monday. Hey, JD. So, how did you feel like the wide receivers are getting separation? Because that was a big deal. Of Charlie getting blamed too, is receivers not getting open.
Yeah, I think a lot of last year's blame was passed around, and probably there's shared blame. I really put a lot of the emphasis on the coaching staff with Fedora and Munoz, and I mean, credit to those guys. They did it in a COVID year, so was that fair? Who's really to say? But so I want to back off the offensive line a little bit there. I think they were probably dealing with a bummy hand. But when it comes to the receivers, I really like the receiver group. I think it's the best group on the offense as a whole. I think Tyquan Thornton's going to be great. He's going to be healthy. RJ Sneed's a beast. Really excited about Drew Estrada. So it was tough to really get a great gauge about separation during the practice, just because it felt like whoever was playing quarterback had someone in their lap after a 3-step drop. So that was disappointing to see. But all things considered, I think they're going to be just fine at receiver. I'm really excited about that. I think they'll be the strength of the unit if they can get somebody to get them the football.
And then the other thing was, well, I go back to the interview that Joe had with Coach Pittman. What was it, like 3 months back?
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Drake got that. Yeah, it was huge.
and you'll ask him about Mateos and what the first year offensive line is going to look like, and he just said they're going to play hard. They're going to play hard and they're going to be aggressive. And that's what we haven't had since Spencer Drango and all those dudes. Is just them being aggressive, being nasty.
100%.
So as long as they do that, I think we'll be fine.
I'm on board with that.
I think you can. Here's the deal, G-Dub. When I look across Baylor men's basketball roster, I see a lot of guys that they're not 5-star athletes. They're not the best athletes in the country. They're guys that work hard and do the extra stuff that it takes to win and be great. That's what makes Baylor basketball so good, is the culture of grit and doing things the right way and being tough. If you have an offensive line that maybe, hey, we don't have a bunch of 5-star guys, but we built up size with Vic Valoria. And now, not only that, we've got the grit, we got the fight, we've got the tenacity. I think they're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and then with Apu, I mean, even on defense, got everybody come back with you had Apu in there.
Yep.
He's gonna be he's a man. He's just a man child.
Like, he legitimately was the reason why quarterbacks had trouble throwing the football on Saturday. Like, when I say he won legitimately every snap that I watched him, there was not a snap that he lost. He was in the backfield within a second and a half of the play starting. Like, he is going to be the great equalizer for Baylor. I think they'll be the best defense in the Big 12. There's a case for Oklahoma, but I think Baylor's going to have the best defense in the Big 12 with Ika being the difference maker.
G-Dub, Big 12, big Bear Games questions of the day.
It's all big.
What was the...
I like the Rubik's Cube question. You want to go with the
both.
social media handles? All right, so we got a 2-part Bear Games for you here today, G-Dub. Part 1, you got one Rubik's Cube to solve, and you get one Baylor football player to solve it. Currently on the roster, who are you taking?
And you win $1 million.
You win $1 million. You win. Stakes just went way up. If he does it, you get $1 million. You get $1 million.
JT Woods, easy.
Good call. Guy was getting offered by Columbia. Good call.
Wow.
Good call.
I didn't know that. JT Woods locking
Smart
in.
kid.
G-Dub, what do you think about players having their Twitter handle on the back of their jersey for a spring game?
I mean, for the spring game, it'd be cool. I mean, but like people on Twitter, like they'll like write the names down, and as soon as those kids make a bad play, they'll go and trash talk them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's a bad look on that.
I do that
on that end. So
I do that a lot.
It's just kind of.
True on that point. Hey, G-Dub, thanks for your call, though, man.
Yes, sir.
See you. The GOAT, Dub. I like that question. I like that question a lot.
We've gotten those texts. Hey, you're being kind of mean on Twitter. It's hey, I know you're in-game tweeting and it's fun and all, but also, hey, it's kind of a little. Don't call out their mom like that.
That's why I want to back off the offensive line a little bit. Like, they're going to be fine. There's a lot of good players. I think last year they just had a lot of things not go their way. Also, they were getting pulled every single time they had a holding call, which you can't do. Like, sports is not a thing. Sports is not a perfect thing, especially football is not a perfect game. Right. So to get pulled when you make a mistake really puts you at a detriment already if you're trying to play a cohesive position like offensive line.
Jack Wheeler says, happy birthday to Dylan Doyle. Team DD is ready for the fall. That's on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. Marshall Burns says Brewer was 100% not the problem. Agreed.
100% is a pretty high percentage, but I'm going to go, if not 100%, he's at least 90% not the problem.
Not the problem. Mark Vital's defense is tougher than Lincoln Riley's brisket. Fight me. You see that? Lincoln Riley's brisket was bad. It was bad.
I missed that. What was it?
Oh, he tweeted out a picture of brisket that he made, and it was an atrocity. It was just dry and thick and not good. I'm going to look that up.
That's hysterical.
He says, OU softball performing on the prime Mike Tyson level. You better get there early. They've only had to play out 1/3 of their games. They've run ruled the other 22 games.
They're rolling.
Those are his hot takes of the day. Thank you, Marshall Burns. And Scotty B, the Baylor King, here before we get to T-Rex. Scotty B says... I take the field for the Heisman instead of Charlie Brewer.
Fair.
As for men's tennis, it is to be determined because of tiebreaker rules. Yeah, it was bad.
Bad brisket.
It's bad brisket.
Sorry, bad brisket.
Because of tiebreaker rules, for the first third conference, since 3 teams are 4-1 in the Big 12, not only that 4th to 6th place is tied at 1-4 in the Big 12. Okay, so there's some ties in tennis going into seeding for the Big 12 tournament.
Okay.
Baylor is going to be a 2 seed and get a play-in game into the first round. Got T-Rex on the call line. T-Rex, hey, what's going on?
Hey, guys, just got off a work call, so I have no idea what y'all been talking about. Something about Brewer or something about Ika.
Charlie Brewer's winning the Heisman.
Hold on, he's like a Heisman, like somebody said that, or he's like actually on a watch
No,
list?
We broke it.
We broke today that we both have Charlie Brewer at number 1 on our Heisman list.
If he wins the Heisman, we're very rich men.
So
okay.
rich.
I'm just trying to figure out what sports writer has their head up their butts to make that prediction.
Hey, he wasn't the problem.
Hey, real quick, I mean, God, I'm trying to avoid this topic on the board because somebody posted a video on 365 on the premium side about the, a highlight of his performance at their spring game in Utah. To me, when the player leaves, who cares? I don't care who they are. Like, what does it matter? Who cares? But this has been brought up.
Más o menos.
I'll say this. Charlie wasn't 100% issue. Like, he wasn't a problem. Like, there's a million different factors that factor into our terrible offensive performance last year. We can start at Fedora. You can go from the top to the bottom. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
End of the day, Charlie Brewer threw those interceptions that interception at the end of the game at Iowa State. The offensive line gave him plenty of time to throw those interceptions.
True.
As much as I hated how bad our offensive line was, it doesn't matter. Charlie wasn't the problem. No one was the problem. Well, maybe Fedora was the problem. Who knows? Yeah. COVID was the problem. No spring practice was the problem. But it doesn't matter. Anybody if you want to support a player when they leave, by all means do that. If you want to cheer for them, cool, awesome. That doesn't take away from what they did when they were at Baylor or at whatever school. But we got to move forward with who our quarterbacks are now, and pastures are green, man. Anyway, Big 12 tennis champion. I don't know how that worked for Texas. I was there yesterday. Man, I still don't half understand tennis, but I will say this. We already had the match clinched. We were up 4-1, but I witnessed something that made me laugh so hard. A TCU fan got thrown out of the match during the game, or during the match of the game, however somebody plays tennis is going to get mad at my lingo misusage. Got thrown out for cussing in French and Spanish at our number 1 court player. The official told him, stop cussing in foreign languages. I know what you're saying. Then he said, in English, for everyone to hear, said, well, that's BS. So then he tossed him out, gave us a point penalty. It just so happened to be the 1 point left for us to score to win that match. So
no way.
Thrown out. It can't be any greater than that. Maybe a UT fan getting thrown out would have been better. I don't know. But, man, UT Mike hasn't called in, so maybe TCU Tom is listening. Shout out to your tennis fans for cussing. Maybe you should do some research next time and figure out if the player speaks both of those languages, because he does. So he knew exactly what you were saying the whole time. Because we have smart people at Baylor. We have very strict acceptance rates, unlike the Queen to Inn in Fort Worth. Anyway, SicEm Bears, I'll see y'all this weekend. Did y'all know we're hosting the national championship in acrobatics and tumbling starting Thursday?
Yeah, that's on Thursday. Really quick, T-Rex. Keith, I see you there. Keith, we got to get to Michael Woodson coming up on the other end of this break. Keith, call us back here in about 20 minutes if you can. Sorry about that. Just rolling up right here on Coach Woodson joining the show post the Big 12 championship. But T-Rex, now I almost call him Baylor Bigfoot because, well, jury's still out.
Whoa.
Bear Games question of the day.
T-Rex, you get to solve a Rubik's Cube for $1 million. You have to solve a Rubik's Cube for $1 million. You have to pick one Baylor football player currently on the roster to solve it for you, and you win said $1 million. Who are you taking?
Hold on. I got to pick a player on the current roster to win $1 million. What is the competition?
He has to solve a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, Rubik's Cube. I'm going to go with Henry Klein. Clean Klein.
Interesting.
Just because I like his dad. So.
Hey, I'm sold.
If he's not available, then Rob Collin, because his dad's cool too.
Probably big hands.
And then T-Rex, what do you think about players having their Twitter handles on the back of their jerseys during their spring games?
I think it's kind of stupid looking, just because
it's kind of stupid looking.
Like, it just doesn't look good. Like, just depending on what their name is, like, it just doesn't look good. If it's like some random thing, that doesn't help me know who that person is.
Yeah.
So if anything, I'll know them better by their actual names. So I get it. I understand the NLI. I understand what they're trying to do. But I think that was one school trying to be catchy, and then another school copied them. And, hey, if you don't know what your team's Twitter handles are you even a real fan? Hey. I don't need them to put it on the jersey.
You got to be on Twitter. Got to be on Twitter. All right, T-Rex, thanks for your call, as always. Love hearing from you.
Hey, Sicko Bears, it's up tempo, never down.
That's right.
Love you, T-Rex.
Up tempo, not down tempo. Come on. Hey, Michael Woodson joins the show coming up next. Baylor men's tennis champions of the Big 12 for the first time since 2015, I think. I've tried to do some backtracking and get it all nailed down there. So first time, 14th time winning the Big 12 championship, first time since 2015 under Michael Woodson.
I wonder what he thinks about Twitter handles. I wonder if they put them on the back of their shirts.
You know what we can do?
We can ask him.
We can ask him.
Can ask him about that last point, too.
Coming up next, also the first hour of SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo is brought to you by Banson Business Services, owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green. Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can even help you with your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson for more information. They can help you with your taxes. With your taxes. They can help you. With your taxes. With your taxes. With your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Their business helps you run your business. We're right back with Michael Woods and Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims. This is Up Tempo.
I love Banson.
It was a super busy weekend in Baylor athletics as two squads wrapped up their 2021 campaigns in postseason play. Starting in volleyball, the onslaught of Nebraska was just too much as the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers swept Baylor 3-0 on Sunday, while the equestrian team also fell in its national semifinal against number 4 SMU 8-6 in Waco. Nonetheless, it was a solid year for both with a Sweet 16 bid in volleyball and a Final Four bid in equestrian after stunning Auburn. In baseball, the Bears were absolutely dominant on Saturday in a road conference series at Kansas. Baylor's bats were far too much for the Jayhawks to handle as the green and gold swept the doubleheader by scores of 8-2 and 6-2. Yet Sunday's bout was just low-scoring enough for Kansas to pull off the upset and take home a 3-2 walk-off win. And the softball team was swept on the road against number 11 Oklahoma State over the weekend by scores of 4-0, 5-1, and 11-3. In tennis, the number 2 Baylor men's team continues to make history as the squad took home the Big 12 regular season championship trophy with a dominating 5-2 victory over number 6 TCU in Fort Worth. It's Michael Woodson's first title at the helm of the program. And the women's team also took care of business with a 4-0 sweep at number 28 Texas Tech yesterday. In golf, the women's team finished day 1 of the Big 12 championships in second place and currently are shooting 5 under 283. And in basketball, highly touted 2021 recruit Ty Washington has narrowed his list of schools down to 6, with Baylor being one of his final few and possibly landing spot for his future. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on the new 2021 Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $5,500 or 0% for 84 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Central Texas' new Ram commercial truck headquarters with 3,500 and 5,500 chassis cabs and other great work trucks. Visit Allen Samuels today. It's Ram Truck Month.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Monday, everybody. There's no such thing as a bad Monday. There's no such thing as a bad Monday. Oh my goodness. Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims on Up Tempo today. The first day that we've had a radio show post a Big 12 championship in men's tennis.
Yeah.
Count it.
It's a big
Write
day.
it down.
Milestone.
And to help us celebrate it, Coach Michael Woodson of the men's tennis program. Coach, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, appreciate you having me as always.
Love having you as always, man. This is always so good.
It's special.
I'm excited for this. Coach, Big 12 championship yesterday. I want to start with you being in this role, being a Baylor Bear for now. I mean, we're going close to a decade here. You're just a long-tenured guy. And now to be the head coach of the tennis program and bring home a conference championship for the first time since 2015. What does this mean to you personally?
Yeah, I mean, having been here for a few years now, to experience clinching a share of the regular season title is really special. It's a first time for me while we were here, and obviously, we have larger aspirations ahead of us with the tournament, which some of us have experienced winning that, and then going into NCAAs. But just to see, some of our grad transfers winning a championship for the first time, and some of our younger guys getting to experience that moment was really special. And for me in this role, I think it was amazing just to kind of see our guys respond, and come together and really, play for something bigger than themselves was really neat. And to see them perform so well under pressure was very rewarding.
And Coach, going into that game, having a chance to clinch a share of the conference championship, what was the buzz like?
I mean, we had a pretty bad taste in our mouth after the Texas match, and I think it was necessary for us. And we had beaten Texas twice, and they just were hungrier than we were when we played on Thursday night, and they showed it, and credit to them. They did a fantastic job against us. And, I to be honest, I think the match was won on Saturday night in our team meeting. And, the guys did a phenomenal job of just speaking from the heart to each other and explaining what they need to do better on Sunday and what they were expecting out of each one of their teammates, and made it very clear that they were each playing for something bigger than themselves, and that, they needed to look to their right and look to their left out on the court and find the reason why they were going to dig in and keep fighting. And it was the best performance we've had this year, bar none. I mean, TCU is not an easy place to play. They made it hard on us. They're a great team that's very confident, and the fans are energetic and in your face. And I thought we handled it really well, and really kind of led from start to finish, which was really cool to see.
Coach, you said the match was won in the team meeting on Saturday night. I'll tell you, I remember back to my playing days in like 7th grade and junior high.
Still counts.
We had this really good, deep, heart-to-heart talk with our team where it was like, we found ourselves and we are a team now, one unit. Came back the next day and we're down by 12 at halftime against the worst team in the conference. Just because we were in our own heads. We were emotional. You have that lull. At any point in time, did you think, oh man, like this is great, but how are we going to be able to perform after something like this?
Honestly, I stepped away and I looked at the staff and I said, I think we're going to win tomorrow. But part of me was like, or I could be dead wrong. You never know really, but I do trust these guys, and I think they really trust in each other, and it allows them to be courageous and proactive. And we talk about that a lot as a team. We're not going to react to the situation and try to and hope that the other team misses. We're going to be courageous. We're going to go for the shot and live with the result. We have guys that are really buying into that, and it's hard not to look around at the other guys out on the team and feel like, well, he's going to win and he's going to win, and so I can relax and just play, and there was never that moment. A lot of moments it gets hard out there, even in the middle of the match, maybe there's a momentum shift or everything. And our guys did not allow that to happen. There was so much energy, so much positivity on and off the court that we really rolled with the momentum from start to finish.
On the flip side of that, what was your message to your team? Obviously a high pressure situation, conference championship on the line. What were you telling your guys before that match?
I just told them to have fun. They've earned this opportunity to be in this moment, and that they're going to remember this match for the rest of their lives. I want you to remember it and have no regrets. Whether you win or lose is not that important to me. I want to make sure that you guys go through this situation and feel like you had fun and you left it all out there. And they did.
Coach, I want to take you back to a match against TCU on January 31st that JD and I were actually at in Waco at the Hawkins Indoor. You guys fell 4-1 in that one. I mean, you get TCU again. Your chance for revenge. Was that a part of the message, and did that match kind of loom in the back of your head going into this one?
For sure. And we use that, what Texas did to us, having beaten Texas twice. They were hungrier than we were because they haven't beaten us yet, and they really wanted to. And, they let it fly against us, and it worked out. And we said the same thing. Listen, we want to go down swinging. We want to make sure that they're not they don't want it more than we do. And we have to show it. And we did. I mean, we've all been thinking about that match with a sour taste in our mouths, and and we couldn't wait to play them again. And frankly, I'm excited that we get to play them again soon, probably.
Yeah.
Coach, we had a caller who was at the match phone in and kind of give us a recap of that last point. It sounds like it was maybe credited to a fan. Do you mind speaking to that a little bit more? Because Drake and I are kind of at a loss as to what actually happened.
So that was actually the 5th point. We had clinched it on Spencer's court. Yeah, I mean, that was an unfortunate situation. I mean, Luke from TCU, he's a great young man. I have so much respect for him. He's a great player and a great person. And unfortunately, one of the fans was crossed the line heckling our players and wouldn't stop. And Adrian stopped to just let him know, let the official know, hey, these few guys are continuing to say mean things to me. And they had already been warned a couple times. The head official came over. He warned them again, and then they started saying things in another language to the official, which the official understood and told them to stop. And then they started talking in English, but the English wasn't nice either. He threw them out. They refused to leave, kept talking to the official. And unfortunately for that match, given that situation, that's a point penalty. I mean, you get the crowd, the fact that the crowd didn't stop is really a detriment to the Famba, to the number one player from TCU. And it was sad to see it in that way, frankly. I mean, some people were mad at us. I mean, we didn't do anything. We just stood there, and it was sad to see it kind of in that way, but that's the rule, and the fans should know when there's a line, I mean, you've got to stop at some point. And for some reason, they just kept arguing with the official. So
Drake and I would have taken care of business for you. Yeah, Drake and I would have taken care of business and got him out of there for you. Don't worry. So next time that happens, you just call up Tempo and we'll extract them.
In a different language. In a different language. Coach, thanks for speaking on that too. I know we would have been remiss not to get your thoughts and some clarification on that, but glad that the Big 12 officials handled that as they should have up there in Fort Worth. Moving back to winning the championship, I watched a video last night where the whole team is just hoisting up the trophy. They have the Big 12 championship shirts on. They're just throwing that thing up, and I'm waiting for it to just get launched. Was there any part of you that was like, hey guys, I know we're excited, but maybe let's not throw the trophy up and down?
No, there were definitely, administrators that were concerned that thing was going to fly across the court, after a few hoists from the captain. But it would have been a small price to pay for me. I was pleased with the performance. They can do with it what they want.
Take me through that moment, though, when they get back to the herd and everybody's there putting the shirts on, hoisting the trophy up. I mean, did it set in at that point?
For sure. I mean, I was actually on Adrian's court and Matthias's. And so when the match was clinched, Adrian was still playing. And that's a really important match for him, with Famba being ranked 16 in the country for his ranking and for NCAA purposes, and Big 12 Player of the Year potentially. So I didn't flinch much. I was locked in on that match and wanted to win that match. And so I didn't really get the feeling of, we've done it. We've won. And so being able to get back and on our home courts and have the shirts and take pictures and, getting water dumped on me was extremely cold, but it's just, a lot of fun. And those are the memories that these guys are going to have for the rest of their lives. And so, less for me and more for them. I'm just really excited that they're going to have that experience. And I mean, you want to walk away with a championship ring. And so, I mean, hopefully we'll have multiple things to put on a ring this spring, but to lock that up was really special.
Coach, you mentioned potentially being in the market for some other jewelry in the near future. How long will you let yourself enjoy this? I know other coaches like Scott Drew has the 24-hour rule. Do you have anything like that in place, or how long will you soak this in?
I'm hoping our guys will soak it in, throughout the day today and get back to work starting tomorrow. For us, I mean, we're certainly very happy, but we are hosting the Big 12 tournament this week, and we've got scheduling things that we have to work through. I've got a long list of thank yous I have to write for our giving day last week. And, this is one of our off days, so I'm going to have a busy afternoon playing with blocks with the girls and running around the yard. So, it was fun last night. I hope the guys continue to enjoy it, but to me, it's, business as usual.
Coach, I want to end here along with that question from JD. We're having you on right now, post the Big 12 championship that you guys just punched, a share of that. But we all in the studio, and I know you do too, have the hopes of having you on again after another Big 12 championship and after a national championship. And I know that's the aspiration of this team. How do you use this regular season victory to push your guys to that national championship scale?
Yeah, I think for us, the biggest thing was that we saw what we needed to do to compete at the highest level. It wasn't, we've competed at the highest level this year, but the way that our guys came together and the energy that they brought and the focus and the love for each other, to the guy to your right and to the guy to your left and the guy off the court, was something that I haven't seen yet this year. And so for us, it's going to be a lot less about the tennis and more about continuing to, put them in situations where they can grow together as a team. Because at the end of the day, the team that's going to win it at the end is going to be those that love each other the most.
Man.
Wow. I love that.
Bear Games question
Coach,
today?
like Bear Games?
Let's do it.
Awesome. I'm gonna mold this question a little bit more to you.
Ooh.
You got a Rubik's Cube to solve. It gets solved, you get $1 million. That's a lot of zeros. What player are you having solve that Rubik's Cube for you within your tennis program?
Spencer Furman.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah,
no hesitation.
Is there a why? What's the
I
explanation here? Yeah.
Spencer's a thinker, and he's always reading, he's always studying, he's always learning. He's so interested in everybody else and everything else out there that he's kind of a sponge. So for me, I feel like he's going to have some strange way of already having it devised that if I just gave it to him, he would already know how to do it.
I'm sold.
Coach, along with that, our other Bear Games question today, we saw that Central Florida used Twitter handles on the back of their players' uniforms during their spring game. I want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, as a coach, what do you think about coaches putting things that maybe aren't last names on the back of jerseys or that are Twitter headers on the back of jerseys?
It sounds extremely 2021. And I definitely can understand because of the way that our guys talk about social media and tagging each other and all these different things. The world that we live in today in recruiting is who best portrays themselves on social media. So I think they're a little bit ahead of their time, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not the only ones that end up doing it.
Yeah. Well, Coach, congratulations on the Big 12 championship. Thank you so much, as always, for coming on the show today. And I want to say congratulations, not just for this Big 12 championship, but for everything that you've done at Baylor and done this season in the wake of what's been a mess with COVID-19, you getting the job in such an unconventional way and turning this program into a Big 12 champion for the first time since 2015 is remarkable. When the documentary comes out, just make sure that we're both in it.
Happy to have you guys. If we get that lucky, you guys are in for sure.
Boom. Bring it on.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Coach, thanks again. That was Michael Woodson of the Baylor tennis program, head coach, taking home a Big 12 championship for the first time since 2015 with the program. The program's 14th overall. That's dominance.
He's building something. This isn't just a one-year thing. Like, they're going to be good for years to come. And a friend of the show, he's a great interview, and you can just tell by talking to him, he's such a down-to-earth guy. So glad that he's at Baylor.
I am a big fan of Michael Woodson.
I am pro Michael Woodson.
I am so pro Michael Woodson.
Michael Woodson for president.
Now Big 12 champions. You know, Baylor's won, I think it's third most Big 12 championships of any team in the conference.
Of any for tennis or for any sport?
That's any sport.
Really?
Any sport.
Yeah.
Baylor racks up Big 12 championships, especially in those smaller sports that maybe some folks don't follow.
Yeah.
But you think about that. You think about how Baylor fans follow the tennises, soccer, follow acrobatics and tumbling. Baylor fans follow these sports so well. Tell you what, we're going to hit a break right here. When we come back, Keith is on the Impact Health Labs call line. We're going to talk to Keith, and we're going to play Music Monday. This is Up Tempo.
It was a super busy weekend in Baylor athletics as two squads wrapped up their 2021 campaigns in postseason play. Starting in volleyball, the onslaught of Nebraska was just too much as the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers swept Baylor 3-0 on Sunday, while the equestrian team also fell in its national semifinal against number 4 SMU 8-6 in Waco. Nonetheless, it was a solid year for both with a Sweet 16 bid in volleyball and a Final Four bid in equestrian after stunning Auburn. In baseball, the Bears were absolutely dominant on Saturday in a road conference series at Kansas. Baylor's bats were far too much for the Jayhawks to handle as the green and gold swept the doubleheader by scores of 8-2 and 6-2. Yet Sunday's bout was just low-scoring enough for Kansas to pull off the upset and take home a 3-2 walk-off win. And the softball team was swept on the road against number 11 Oklahoma State over the weekend by scores of 4-0, 5-1, and 11-3. In tennis, the number 2 Baylor men's team continues to make history as the squad took home the Big 12 regular season championship trophy with a dominating 5-2 victory over number 6 TCU in Fort Worth. It's Michael Woodson's first title at the helm of the program. And the women's team also took care of business with a 4-0 sweep at number 28 Texas Tech yesterday. In golf, the women's team finished day 1 of the Big 12 championships in second place and currently are shooting 5 under 283. And in basketball, highly touted 2021 recruit Ty Washington has narrowed his list of schools down to 6, with Baylor being one of his final few and possibly landing spot for his future. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den for the Blonde Boys Power Hour. Happy Monday, everybody. Feeling good, like I should. Took a walk around the
dog park.
Yeah, all right. Hey, give it 10 minutes, you will.
Yep.
We've got Keith on the call line. Keith, what's going on, man? Talking a little bit of spring football.
Hey, loving it. Loving the power-packed first hour of the show.
Yeah.
I think before we get to the spring, just have to comment on the tennis. Just an awesome display, and you got to wonder, if Scott Drew and the team didn't win the Natty, is this the top storyline of the spring?
Yeah.
How maybe Casey Lightfoot and everything he did in dominating pole vault, but just kudos to the team, and awesome to see all Baylor sports excelling.
I love it. Keith, come with the juice from Keith.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's what I love about it, Keith, is the fact that it's not just basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball, even football, 11-win year. It's every sport has put so much into winning and being relevant on the national scale, and this program is it's one of those. So congrats to the tennis team.
Yeah, and then, before we get to the spring game for Baylor, just a comment on Charlie Brewer and the Utah piece. I mean, let's cool the Jets on the Heisman hype. The kid had he had the all-time percentage completion record for Texas football, right? We've always known he can be accurate. And he did at Baylor, but when the lights come on, maybe it's a different thing. So, good luck to him. Wish him well unless we play him in a bowl game, and then I hope we crush him. But yeah, let's cool it on the Heisman hype for Charlie.
Yeah, Keith's probably got a great point there. Not gonna lie.
I don't know he's trending towards never throwing an incompletion ever at Utah. Like he is trending towards a perfect season at Utah, and I haven't seen anything that would sway me otherwise in the Utah jersey.
Okay, well, let's just see when Zeno drops a 300 piece in the first half on Saturday.
We're not comparing. Jeez. I'm just saying maybe he does it.
Keith, what do you think about Baylor football coming into the spring?
Yeah, I listened to a couple of the post game takeaways from Etheridge and Football Bob. Encouraged to hear that from the open practice, and it sounded to me like Zeno was separating himself a little bit. So that's encouraging. I mean, every single quarterback is learning a brand new offense, so you wouldn't expect to see significant separation at this point. But good to see that they're all kind of picking it up, and at least one guy appears to start being separated. For the spring game, that's honestly what I'm going to be looking at is, this new offense. Heard it's a lot of motions, the wide zone. I've heard there's been a lot of hype around it, and I know the defensive line is dominating, but I'm looking to see kind of what does that offense even look like? What do the formations look like? So it should be interesting. Unfortunately, I can't make it out for the spring game, but I'll check it out on my Roku.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Okay, we got any thoughts on that?
I was going to say, as far as the spring game goes, I don't think anyone can win the job except for Zeno. Like, I think if Zeno comes out and plays phenomenal, I think he's probably named the starter in-house. Maybe it's not public, but I think in-house he's the guy. I think a lot of guys can help. I think he can lose the job. I think a lot of guys can help themselves in the spring game. Like, I think Shapen has the it factor. Garrett Bohannon, especially with our question marks offensive line, he really can be the X factor with what he's able to do from a mobility standpoint. So all that's to say, I think Zeno can win the job on Saturday in-house. I don't think it'll be public for a while, but he really is the leader in the clubhouse. The offense just looks different with him behind center, man. I don't know what it is.
Keith, we got Music Monday. We're rolling up close to a break right here. You want to play Music Monday with us?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
I'm terrible at it, but that's fine.
Hey, that makes two of us. It makes two of us.
While we're setting that up, Keith, what were you saying about the quarterback battle?
No, I was actually going to switch topics and ask about Abram Smith seeing time at running back and whether that should be viewed as a good thing or bad thing, but I don't know if we have time for that.
Let's see.
No, I mean, he looked good. He looked real good. I mean,
really?
they're deep. I don't know exactly what number defense he was going against, but he ran the ball. He got downhill, hit the hole hard. I mean, he was recruited to play running back, filled linebacker last year, especially out of utility. So is that something you want to do long-term? I think it depends how much you need him on defense, but he's definitely a viable option if we find ourselves in a situation where you got to have another back. But I really like Tay McWilliams. I like Treston Ebner. I like Waylon Jones. I think you're set there. But if Abram Smith starts playing some back, I'm not disappointed at all.
All right, bring it on. Add some depth there. Hey, Keith, we got the Music Monday queued up. We're rolling quick here. Armstrong, if we're ready to play that, I'm ready. You ready for Music Monday, Armstrong?
I'm ready as it's going to be.
Do we have one today?
We're going to wing it.
Oh, okay.
All right, I like this.
I got you.
This might be my favorite.
5 songs I'm going to pick from this random playlist, and I'm going to roll them.
Okay. Actually, this probably doesn't help me because it's...
Here we go. Song 1.
Is this your playlist?
Okay. There's one. You got to get the artist, too, by the way.
Yeah, I got it. I think.
Let's see here. I'm just dragging it.
I love the nature of this right now.
I'm just dragging it
This is
to
helping
a
me,
random point. They might even say the song title.
This is embarrassingly bad.
I know that one.
Is that an instrumental?
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, Keith, I'm so sorry, Keith.
This is embarrassingly bad. What are you talking about?
That's ABBA. That's Dancing Queen.
I'm 2
ABBA.
for 2.
All right. Drake just gave you 3 points.
Drake, you should have done that, Mike. Drake, I might win today.
All it took was a preview, and that was it.
I might win today.
Well, you just gave him 3 points.
I have 6 points as of right now.
All right, let's see what else I got here. How many? This is the 4th one.
Oh my gosh, we've already done this one.
Have we?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just scrolling through a random playlist.
I still don't know that one.
There's that. You don't know that one?
No.
Apparently we've done it.
I know that
before.
song. I don't know who that is or the name of that song.
Let's see if I can make this a little more difficult.
Oh, that's the Marriott elevator music.
There we go.
Okay, I have 6.
What were
Keith,
they? I don't even remember
no
the
idea.
songs I played.
Keith, do you have literally any of those?
I got a few of them.
All right, Keith, what do you
go.
got? Keith, what do you got?
So I'll start by saying, okay, so one was Lean on Me. I'm ashamed to say I don't know the artist.
I mean, Bill
2
Withers.
was an instrumental
I'm gonna throw up.
that
I'm
I
so
have no
excited.
idea. 3 was Dancing Queen, and I think that's the Bee Gees.
ABBA.
4, ABBA, dang it.
Yeah.
Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison, and then 5, another one, no idea.
No.
What was 2?
2 was Upside Down, Jack Johnson.
Yes, correct.
Wow. Little Jack Johnson.
I'm gonna turn this whole thing
JD's in
up.
the lead right now.
Dude, I think
I got Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison.
Okay, I think it's tied.
Yeah.
What do y'all get for the 4th one? Anyone get the 4th one?
Dude, no
I
shot.
mean, the 5th one?
No shot.
No shot on the 5th one. Keith, really quickly
Okay,
before
well,
we get out of here.
If you want to know what it is,
What was it?
Daniel by Elton John.
Oh, Danny.
So what does that bring us out to? Do we tie?
Got tied at like
6.
Dang it.
Keith, really quickly, one player
I
on
never win
Baylor's
this
team
game.
that can
Never win this
finish a Rubik's Cube for $1 million. Who is it?
I'm happy to tie.
Current players, it's Jaron McVay. Gotta love walk-ons that compete and, up their game. I feel like he would up his game.
I love
and
it.
then if I'm picking a past player, Marcus Jones, which is a cheat code.
Yeah. He's working for like
Wicked smart.
Who's he
Wicked
working for?
smart.
Tesla?
And
No.
he has, also was a walk-on too. So
Yeah, that's true.
Is he working for NASA or someone crazy? He's
Something
working for
it's
someone
insane
dope
like that.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, hey, thanks for calling in and thanks for playing along today.
I appreciate you guys.
tiebreaker.
You rule, Keith.
You too.
Okay.
Hurry, we're so late. No Armstrong's minute here. We're gonna get copyrighted.
Was it Jeremiah was a bullfrog?
We
Is that the name of it?
the limit there.
Joy to the World.
Yeah.
By
Dang
Three
it.
Dog Night. Joy to the World. Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims, no Armstrong minute. This is
Cover
Up
the
Tempo.
spread.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Well, let's be nice. Yeah. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll here. J.D. Pickell has stepped out to take his dog to the dog park. And we're now joined by DJ Richards, brother of WNBA draftee D.D. Richards, who had an outstanding career here at Baylor, went in the second round of the WNBA draft, was the first Baylor player off the board, and will now be playing professional basketball. DJ, thanks so much for coming on with us today. It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, DJ, I want to get first and foremost the pride that you have in Dee and knowing that your sister was drafted to be in the WNBA. Kind of, what are some of the thoughts that are going through your head on this?
It's just kind of crazy because I feel like it was like literally 2 days ago when we used to be the last person in the gyms at her high school. Like, we used to be the only cars left, and like, I'm just happy to see all her hard work pay off.
DJ, you talked about it, her hard work right there. Walk me through what the people don't see behind the scenes when DD's working.
Just like she's the hardest person on herself. Like, she, after every game, she takes in the group chat like, dang, I should have did this, I should have did that. Like, the only reason the way she is right now is because her work ethic and how she's so honest with herself to become a better person.
DJ, along with that, you know, DD not just getting drafted, but her career at Baylor and everything she did at Baylor. How much of that did you watch, and how proud are you of what she was able to accomplish as a Lady Bear?
I mean, I always said her resume is like unmatched, and that was just for high school. And now when she's going to college, and now she was Naismith, and she has a national championship. So like, with those things just adding to the resume she already had, it's just amazing to see her grow throughout the years.
I want to take you back to that too, DJ, the national championship that DD won as a Lady Bear in what would have been, I guess, her sophomore season. Were you there for that? What do you remember from that?
Yeah, I was there. I was just like, what I remember is it really started off in the beginning of the year when my pawpaw passed. And it's crazy because when we were younger, my pawpaw wanted DD to go to UConn. So in that same year, she beat UConn and she won a national championship. So all she could do is cry and think about her pawpaw. She literally did it for her pawpaw, and I'm happy for her.
Wow. From your perspective too, DJ, I want to know, when you got to watch that, when you got to watch Dee as a national champion, what did that mean to you at that championship game?
It was just like, I felt like I won too. Like, I was like, bro, let's go. Like, we champions. Like, I was just happy. Like, the people that she had playing with her, with Chloe and Kalani and LC, like, it's just like, it was just crazy watching that team play. That's one of the best, like, girls teams I ever witnessed myself.
DJ, taking you back even further to Dee's high school career and the unbelievable career she had in high school. When did you know, hey, my sister's going to be a stud, not just in high school, but in college and going forward?
Honestly, like, I feel like college didn't get to see the real Dee because, like, I knew Dee was like a dog and like and she had like, I think it was her sophomore year in one game, she had like 45 points, but she missed like 6 wide open layups. Like, I'm like, how you get 45? You missed 6 wide open layups. Like, that's when I knew, like, okay, she gonna be a problem, because once she like stopped like the small things like that, no one can stop her.
Absolutely. And moving on from that, high school career, she's going to pick a college. Did you sway her at all and talk her into going to Baylor?
Nah, not really. I mean, I saw her, like, she like texted at first, and I was never like against it. I mean, that's my sister, and I always been like her ride or die. So whatever she go with, I'm down with it too. So when she decommitted from Texas and committed to Baylor, I was like, you doing this for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So I believed her, and she made the right decision.
Yeah. You know, DJ, when she first got to Baylor, what do you remember about that? Your first kind of experience being around the Baylor program?
It was actually the first thing I witnessed, and like I like realized, like, you're not the only good player anymore. Like, you have good players with you. Because, like, in high school, it was like, I mean, she was good players, but it was always like Dee and then like everybody else. So like, I was like, well, everybody else like was just like the same amount of talent as you, was like fun to watch. Like, it was like, because in high school it was boring because it looked too easy for her. So like in college it like made it fun, and like her coming off the bench, it was just weird. So I had to adjust to it, and then she started being Dee.
Speaking on that, you know, now her drafted into the WNBA and going to start a WNBA career. Has this always been a dream for her or your family as a whole, for her to go pro?
Yeah, we always both had like aspirations to going pro, but Dee also has aspirations of being a model. So I hope that she makes it in that too, because she always wanted to be a model and a pro. So I mean, I'm just happy that all this is happening for her right now.
Swiss Army knife, multifaceted. She surely is. Take me back to this season too, being in the NCAA tournament in San Antonio and knowing, you know, it's Dee's senior season. One of these games is going to be her last in a Baylor uniform. Was that emotional for you or your family? I mean, how did you kind of handle that, her career winding down at Baylor?
I handled it like kind of good for like, I don't think I handled it kind of good. I was low-key kind of sad because like, dang, this is your last game, and like it didn't go how she wanted it to go because she got hurt, and like I felt like if she wouldn't have got hurt, like other things would happen. So I mean, I just sad, I guess.
Yeah. So she ends the Baylor career. Coach Kim Mulkey, Dee Richards, I mean, they go to the Elite Eight, had an unbelievable run her senior season, a great run her senior season. And then moving into the WNBA draft, what are some of the things that she told you before the draft or maybe communicated about the WNBA draft and how she was preparing?
I mean, Dee's like one of those people to where she doesn't like to talk about things before it happens because she doesn't want to expect too much to happen and it doesn't happen. So she just kept everything like regular. Like she always just wanted to go eat and hang out and have fun. Not really like just like hang out with the family and like catch back up because she's been away for like 4 years. So she's been hanging out with me, my mom and my dad, and just like catching up on us. She really didn't bring up the draft like that because she didn't want to like expect something and then something not go her way.
Take me through not only that, but her workouts too, and what she does on the court, behind the scenes, to prepare for the WNBA draft or to prepare for being able to be a professional athlete.
Okay, well now she's been working on her shot, so like they gonna have to put some respect on her name when they guarding her because they ain't gonna be able to guard her from like the semicircle stuff like that because she wants to respect, so she gonna be able to shoot more and she's like working on her shot and like tighten up her handle and stuff like that.
Then draft night comes. Walk me through, DJ, where you were, where Dee was on draft night, finding out where she'd play professionally.
I mean, she wanted to go first round, but then it was like she got a text message saying, okay, everybody, I know where I'm going. And then she was like telling me accepting it. But once it happened, it still didn't seem real to her. So like she had to like break down and like cry and stuff like that. But like we was just all happy for her because she's going to like a city that is for her. And she's not going to like a just small city, but like a New York that fits her, like a New York or a Cali like fits Dee when it comes to like what else she wants to do in life.
When you got that text that said, hey, Dee is going to New York, Dee got drafted, what were some of the emotions that came through you knowing that she's moving away that far?
I mean, I'm like, bro, like if anybody don't know me and Dee, like we're literally like this. Like you can't put us like away from each other. So like when she was going that far, I was like, dang, like the real world really finna start. So I'm like, so really all that made me do was like want to like make it even more so I could do whatever I can to stay next to her. So I'm just going to like put my work ethic up. I mean, but when it all happened, like everything just stopped and moved in slow motion. I was like, bro, she's really getting drafted. Like, this is so crazy. So I'm happy for her again.
DJ, has it set in yet that Dee will be moving off to New York and playing professional basketball? You'll be watching her on TV in the WNBA. Has that really set in for you? Have you come to terms with it yet?
Nah, it still I don't think it's gonna hit me until like I actually like turn on the game and I see her playing professional basketball. Like it still seems fake. Like she's like texting me while she's in New York right now, but like it still doesn't seem real. Like I'm so used to her being closer.
Yeah. And then not only that, I saw that you had tweeted the other day, you said, my sibling is a pro, like all caps pro. Just the excitement in that tweet in itself. I mean, take me through. I know you mentioned it just a second ago, but the excitement, just how proud you are.
It's just like I'm saying, like you don't understand like the arguments of disagreements and stuff like that her and my dad had is how they looked at a play on a court or how me and her looked at a play differently. And it's just like all that was all worth it in the end because at first it was almost like you kept hitting the same wall. Like, it's just like, it can't, but you was never seeing progress. But now that she's reached what she always wanted to get to, it's like, it's finally like you've seen that everything, the arguments and the hard work and all that has been paid off. So like, you just become thankful for everything that you had. So like, I mean, it was just like amazing. Like I can't explain the feeling.
DJ, for you then, I mean, her going up to New York, how soon will you be on a plane headed up there to see her?
Man, it's going to be soon. It's going to be soon. I don't know how soon, but my mama, like I usually don't go. My mom likes to see her kids like as many times as possible. So like my mom going to make her way down there. I'm going to be down there with her. I mean, my dad, like he tried to still play tough cop, you know what I'm saying? My mom going to be down there soon. I'll be down there with her.
Absolutely. Hey, DJ, for you too. I mean, you're a baller yourself. Walk me through a little bit about your path right now, your journey that you're taking, trying to make it onto a college roster.
I mean, it's kind of weird right now with the transfer portal and stuff like that. So I'm trying to see like how everything like levels out and stuff like that because like I don't want to be playing next to a whole bunch of people in the portal because they're going to choose them first because they're older. So, I mean, I'm just weighing out my options right now and I'm just going to go from there.
And then, now seeing Dee move up onto this scale, be a professional athlete, like you said, you almost said it gives you some momentum, hey, I want to do this too. How does this inspire you and your game as a player?
It inspires me a lot because, like I said, I still feel like yesterday, like it's like a story like that my dad and my mom always tell everybody. When we was younger, like we used to play on the same day sometimes. So like I went home and I had like 39. I had 39 points or something like that. And Dee, I was at the table talking trash. I was like, yeah, finally I got it right. And then right when we got to the table, they were like making jokes and stuff like that. And I was like ready to say, yeah, I had 39 points. And then my dad like looked at Dee and she said, well, I had 45. Like, I'm like, bro, like I'm over here like, dang. And so like, I mean, it's just like, everything that she could do, I feel like I want to do it just to like, because she's making me happy. I want to make her happy too.
DJ, one of the last questions I have for you here as we're winding down a little bit. She was paralyzed for a period of time just a couple of months ago. I mean, that was just a month before the season. She goes down, and for a second there couldn't walk. I mean, folks said, hey, you won't be able to play again. You might not walk again. You might not run again. When that happened, what do you remember about that happening? How did you react, and how did Dee react?
Man. I mean, I thought it was like a joke because, like, I never, like, want to just, like, drive down. I don't like long rides. So, like, I don't, like, just go down in the Waco. My dad, like, it's, like, in the middle of a day. Like, it's a regular day. Like, they have practice and stuff like that. And my dad was like, bro, we got to go down to Waco. Your mom already down there on the way and stuff like that. I'm like, what are they talking about? They're not really telling me. And they say your sister got hurt. So I'm thinking busted up ankle or messed up knee or something like that with, like, a shoulder. And then they said, my dad said, come on, bro. Like, she might not ever walk again. And I'm like, she might not what? And I'm thinking it's a joke. So I'm just going down there. I told my cousin to come out down there, like, just texting him, like, on, like, an attitude, like, bro, I really don't want to be down here. And I go in the room, and then my sister has, like, a walker next to her. And that's when I was like, bro, why is it like that? She tried to walk. Like, before, like, she said she couldn't even feel in her toes. So she was already still trying to walk in. Like, she never took no for an answer. Like, she's not going to be able to do this. She always said that she was going to walk, and she will walk, and everything will be the same when they said it won't be the same. So I'm like, this is real. Like, and they said she might not ever, like, walk the same again, or maybe, like, might not be able to play again. So I'm like, bro, what the heck? And my dad is looking at me like it's hitting him too. Like, I'm like, this got to be fake. So when Dee, like, when I started seeing the progress go on, I'm like, okay, she started to be able to walk, but it still wasn't the same. So it was still hitting me like, bro, my sister still she might not be able to walk and breathe herself ever again. So it was just hitting me hard. Like, I felt like I couldn't walk. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we like the other half, like, and it was just hurting. Like, it just hurt. It just hurt a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Is there any way to put in perspective for those that might not understand how serious that was, how serious it was that she might not have walked again?
It was, like, serious, like, times 10. Like, we started, like, accepting, like, things that we, like, wouldn't, like, take serious. We started taking everything more serious. Like, if it's, like, I mean, like, some, like, getting up to, like, use the bathroom, something like that. Like, Dee was saying, like, small things like that meant more to her because it almost got taken away from her just like that. Like, and if you look at what makes the video so crazy, if you look at the video, you would be like, how is she the one hurt from it? Because it looked like Moon got hit harder from it. So, and that's how you know, like, anything small or something like that can happen and just, like, take something away from you. So, like, I feel personally like I just have to, like, take what I have right now and, like, accept it and be thankful for it because anything that I have right now could be taken away from me. So I look at other things in a whole different way now.
Wow. Based on that whole different way, Dee being able to walk. And then last question for you here. We talked about how proud you are of her, how she's inspired you to be a better basketball player and move on to the next level. But the first time you saw her back on the court, playing at full speed, doing what she does, after that injury, after being paralyzed for a little bit there, was that emotional for her? And then what did that mean to you?
Just thank God, honestly, because, like, I didn't think that she was going to be able to, like, go back on the court and be herself. Like, but Dee doesn't like to put the way she feel on everybody else. So, like, she kept a smile and stuff like that. But that still wasn't, like, she was trying to keep a smile to hide the fact that she was still hurting. But, like, I know when she is still hurting. So I was, like, talking to her more, like, than I already was and, like, stuff like that. But when I feel like it was, like, early in the game and she got an and one or something like that, and, like, her emotion came back and it's just, like, hit me like, man, like, she back. You know what I'm saying? So I was just happy for that.
I love it. Hey, DJ, we got a Bear Games question of the day for you here before we get you out of here. I want your thoughts on it. As an athlete yourself, somebody's playing basketball right now, you get the All-Star game, Houston versus Dallas, coming up here in early May. I want to know, UCF, Central Florida football team, they let their players for their spring game wear their Twitter handles on the back of their jersey instead of their last names. What do you think about that?
And that's low-key kind of alive. More people should do that because people be like really nice and they don't be getting the credit, and then they be wanting to get followers. And that's the easy way to get followers. I feel like I mean, they don't pay college athletes, but they might as well put like at least a Twitter handle behind them so they could have more supporters like later on in life. Because after like everybody in college don't make it on to like the next level. So like they can't have those same supporters. But I mean, some people probably be like 5 years later and be like, what is that dude doing now? And with handles on the back, you can know what they're still doing.
I love it. Hey, DJ, thanks so much for coming on the show today, talking to us about Dee making it to the WNBA, her comeback, and then your game as well. It was a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Again, that's Damian Richards, DJ Richards, Dee Richards' little brother, talking about her WNBA story, her comeback story from being paralyzed now to being drafted. Dee, the 2020 Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, WBCA Defensive Player of the Year, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Before the injury, she was undisputed the best defender in the country, and post the injury, she might just have been the best defender in the country. That's a little bit more arguable, though, but hey, she was paralyzed. How do you come back and be 100% after being paralyzed momentarily? But Dee Richards had a great senior campaign and now drafted in the second round of the WNBA draft. She's headed up to New York to play her professional basketball. All right, I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. When we come back from this break, we're talking a lot this week about new hires across the Big 12. There's a bunch of them in men's basketball. You've got Iowa State, Texas Tech, Texas, and Oklahoma that have all found new men's basketball coaches. And we're going to talk a little bit about that with Parker Thune of Oklahoma and how Porter Moser is making the move from Loyola Chicago down to OU to be a Sooner. Again, I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. Don't go anywhere. Parker Thune from Oklahoma joins us up next. This is Up Tempo.
It was a super busy weekend in Baylor athletics as two squads wrapped up their 2021 campaigns in postseason play. Starting in volleyball, the onslaught of Nebraska was just too much as the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers swept Baylor 3-0 on Sunday, while the equestrian team also fell in its national semifinal against number 4 SMU 8-6 in Waco. Nonetheless, it was a solid year for both with a Sweet 16 bid in volleyball and a Final Four bid in equestrian after stunning Auburn. In baseball, the Bears were absolutely dominant on Saturday in a road conference series at Kansas. Baylor's bats were far too much for the Jayhawks to handle as the green and gold swept the doubleheader by scores of 8-2 and 6-2. Yet Sunday's bout was just low-scoring enough for Kansas to pull off the upset and take home a 3-2 walk-off win. And the softball team was swept on the road against number 11 Oklahoma State over the weekend by scores of 4-0, 5-1, and 11-3. In tennis, the number 2 Baylor men's team continues to make history as the squad took home the Big 12 regular season championship trophy with a dominating 5-2 victory over number 6 TCU in Fort Worth. It's Michael Woodson's first title at the helm of the program. And the women's team also took care of business with a 4-0 sweep at number 28 Texas Tech yesterday. In golf, the women's team finished day 1 of the Big 12 championships in second place and currently are shooting 5 under 283. And in basketball, highly touted 2021 recruit Ty Washington has narrowed his list of schools down to 6, with Baylor being one of his final few and possibly landing spot for his future. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Bird
Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right?
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dynaguy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears stand. Happy Monday, everybody. That's Armstrong's having a Monday lull today, but that right there alone is enough to cure it. That can cure anything. We're bringing it back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears den. Drake Toll, Armstrong, Sims, Parker Thune joins the show right now to talk Oklahoma men's basketball. They got a new head basketball coach in town, some guy from Chicago, Porter Moser. Parker, thanks for coming on with us today.
Absolutely, man. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you as well. Our basically our resident Oklahoma beat writer at this point from 24/7 Sports. I mean, we can call you resident now that you've been on like 7 times, right?
I would think so. I mean, if I haven't attained resident status yet, I kind of got to wonder what I got to do to get there.
Right, the blue check. How do you get the up-tempo blue check? You've gotten it. You've got the green jacket that SNL does at your 5th time hosting? Whatever it is, you've got it. Consider it sold. But Parker, man, I mean, crazy couple of weeks for us here in Waco, obviously, for the national championship and everything going on with that men's tennis, Big 12 champions. But for you guys, settling in with a new head basketball coach, replacing Lon Kruger, take me through kind of the whirlwind that the OU fan base and beat reporters have been through in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, news of Kruger's retirement was, while not necessarily unexpected, still a little abrupt. We found out on Thursday morning that the announcement was coming. By Thursday afternoon, Oklahoma's in a position where all of a sudden they're looking for a new head basketball coach. And look, Drake, I have been on the Porter Moser train for years and years because I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. Porter Moser played at Creighton back in the day, late 80s, early 90s, was the head coach at Illinois State back when they were MVC rivals with Creighton. So some of my earliest memories of watching basketball is Creighton squaring off with Porter Moser's Illinois State teams. So I've gotten to see firsthand for a really long time just how good of a basketball coach he actually is. And that's why, I said from the get-go, if I'm Joe Castiglione, Oklahoma Athletic Director Joe Castiglione, and I have to replace Lon Kruger, I am taking a blank check, shoving it in front of Porter Moser and saying, you know what, whatever you need to take this job, go ahead, you can have it, whether it's money, length of contract, whatever it may be. We want to give you whatever you need to take the position. Now, it didn't look like for the longest time there, for the first week or so of that coaching search, like Moser was even in the conversation. It looked like it was going to be either Grant McCasland at North Texas or Kellen Sampson, who, of course, is his father Kelvin's assistant at Houston. Then, lo and behold, 8 days after Lon Kruger retires, in the span of about 12 hours, Porter Moser emerges as the front runner for the job, and you got a deal done that exact same day. So it really was a whirlwind there, especially on that Thursday leading into Friday, that Moser kind of emerged as the front runner and was then hired with a great degree of expediency. But yeah, it really has been quite a tumultuous couple of weeks for Oklahoma basketball, not just as it pertains to the coaching search, but also the personnel turnover, which I'm sure we'll get into in some more detail here. But, from where I stand, I love the hire. Obviously, like I said, I've been watching Moser coach for a couple decades now. And I think the energy that he brings and the passion that he has for his players really speaks to, and you got to keep in mind what he did at Loyola as well. Remarkable by any definition of the word. That was a program that hadn't been to the NCAA tournament since 1985 when he took the job. And in the span of a decade there, he turned them into one of the most competitive,
mid-major? You want mid-major? Is that what we're going for? Mid-major?
That's the word. I was thinking group of 5, and I'm like, that's a football term, man. I'm much more of a football guy than a basketball guy, so I still got to kind of catch myself with those kind of slip-ups from time to time. But no, Loyola Chicago, absolutely one of the most powerful mid-major programs in the nation, due largely to the influence of Porter Moser and what he was able to do with a hyper-focused, localized recruiting effort there at Loyola Chicago. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates to Norman.
Parker, walk me through this. Porter Moser, since making that Final Four run, the Sister Jean train just jumps on the national scene, and he becomes maybe the hottest name at a lot of these big-time jobs. Everybody wants a piece of Porter Moser. Finally, he's pulled away from that Loyola Chicago job where he's from the area. He's familiar with that job. Had done a great. He was a lifer. He had a lifetime contract if he wanted at LIU. Why Oklahoma? What about Oklahoma was so great that they were able to pull Porter Moser away from that job?
Well, like you said, Drake, Porter Moser could have had that Loyola Chicago job as long as he wanted it. Nobody was going to take that away from him. But I think it ultimately comes down to the fact that the type of guy that Porter Moser is, as he's looking ahead to his future in the basketball coaching realm, he's 52 years old. And it really seems to me, from everything that he's said, everything that he's expressed, as if this is where he's going to be long term. This might end up being his last coaching job because he's in it for the long haul. Joe Castiglione wants him in it for the long haul. And I think it speaks to the fact that Oklahoma, by anyone's definition, has one of the best athletic directors in the nation in Joe Castiglione, a guy that has the ability to go out and make these high profile hires. He really hasn't missed in the course of his tenure as athletic director with a coaching hire. You say, okay, maybe Jeff Capel, but there was a lot more to that Capel situation than just the decision to bring him on as head coach and the tumultuous couple years that kind of came with his tenure as head coach of the basketball program there. But on the large scale, he's really hit on every single one of his coaching hires, and I think it came down to timing. Porter Moser really felt as if the time had come after a decade at Loyola Chicago to make that jump to a high-end Power 5 job. You had Lon Kruger retiring at Oklahoma. He left Porter Moser with not necessarily an ideal situation, but a situation that was free of controversy, free of drama. And I think there's something to be said for that, too. There's no scandal on the precipice of burying this program or anything like that. This is a program that over the course of Kruger's tenure there was very well run, very well respected, and is really as squeaky clean as it gets in terms of basketball institutions across the Power 5. So I think the timing, I think the fit had to do with it. And yeah, I think you really got to be excited if you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan about what Porter Moser could do over the long haul, presumably as head coach of this program.
Parker, along with that, I remember when Mike Anderson was hired as the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, it was a fan hire. It was 40 Minutes of Hell from the 90s. Let's recreate what Nolan Richardson had done to win a title in 94. It was a fan hire in the fact that fans wanted to see fast-paced, high-scoring basketball. That's what most fans anywhere want to see. Porter Moser is famous at LIU for putting up 53 points per game, holding your opponent to a suffocating 45, and winning it with slow-paced, good defense. This doesn't seem like a fan hire. It seems like a hire for a winning and successful culture of basketball. What do you make of that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Drake. It's not a fan hire. The fan hire would have been Kellen Sampson because he would have more than likely brought along Hollis Price and Quantus White, two guys that also played basketball at the University of Oklahoma back in the day and were part of Oklahoma's Final Four run in 2002. So you look at what that would have been in terms of a fan hire, and you say, okay, you're bringing in three guys that have ties to the program, have history, can recruit really well, and can reinvigorate this program in that sense. But that wasn't the route that Joe Castiglione wanted to go. No, he wasn't going to do it for the fans. And I think that's the right approach to take when you're a program that, as Oklahoma, as you think about the landscape of Power 5 basketball, Oklahoma is one of the more prestigious programs, one of the more historically successful programs that has not won a national championship. And so if you're looking to take that next step, and you're talking about a guy in Porter Moser that got Loyola Chicago, of all teams, to within 2 games of a national championship out of the Missouri Valley Conference, you got to like your odds because you have the nucleus there in Norman. You have a program that has a brand. You have some existing talent there. You lost Austin Reeves. You lost Davion Harmon, presumably. Brady Manick's going to be a North Carolina Tar Heel. So you got to replace some guys. But you have some prowess in terms of recruiting. You bring in a guy like Porter Moser that has been close. He's been there with a team that did not have near the brand that Oklahoma did. I think you got to be excited about, 2 to 3 years down the road, what this might look like, given his coaching style, given what he was able to accomplish at a mid-major program like LUC. And, maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, we're talking about Oklahoma as maybe a national championship contender if everything goes as smoothly as it did under Moser, as it did for him at Loyola Chicago.
Parker, very seldom have I heard of a head coach that comes into a program and has a bad opening press conference. Those just don't usually happen. I can vividly remember when Larry Fedora was hired as the OC at Baylor. His first press conference, we had him thinking, okay, this probably wasn't the best opening press conference. And that's maybe the only one I can think of. Porter Moser obviously wooed the crowd and was able to really bring together a lot of Oklahoma folks with his opening presser. What did you make of that? Were there any bits or pieces that you thought, well, maybe there's some questions to be had here, or did he really just win the day with the opening presser?
Well, he's a decidedly different flavor than Lon Kruger, and I think that has a lot to do with it, because Lon Kruger, he was the old guy by many standards. He was 68 years old, extremely cordial, really nice guy, always made time to chat with fans, always had open practices. His leadership style was very much oriented towards a family atmosphere. He wanted everybody included. He was never the type of guy that was going to jump on his players. He wasn't going to get fiery in the huddle, but he was somebody that everyone looked up to, not just within the program, but outside the program. Porter Moser, on the contrary, is very much a fiery guy. He's a guy that's not afraid to get in his players' faces. And it's not a type of hot-headed, aggressive style of leadership like you tend to see from guys like Bill Self over at Kansas, for instance. But he's a guy that is always doing his best to get the best out of his players, not just in practices and throughout the season, but in the moment. He's not afraid to confront a guy. And so I think the energy that he brings to the game and the energy that he's brought to this program, and he saw it in his opening press conference, it's effervescent. It just seems to bring some life to a program that didn't necessarily have that under Kruger. And was that a bad thing? Not necessarily, just because that wasn't really the way that Kruger was wired. But after 10 years of Lon Kruger, I think the fans and the press and everybody on the outside looking in at this Oklahoma basketball program really got excited to see a guy that brings a very obvious, very vivid, very conspicuous fire.
Parker, along with that, this hire as a whole for the Big 12, what does this mean? Not just for the Big 12, maybe for a school like Baylor. I mean, what kind of addition is Porter Moser into this club of basketball coaches across the conference?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how his style translates to the Big 12, because you're looking at already what is probably the best basketball conference in the country. And now you bring Porter Moser, who, like you mentioned, makes his hay on suffocating defense, is not going to score 75, 80 points a game. That's not the way he constructs his team. That's not the way he runs his offense. But in the context of the Big 12 as a whole, you have a lot of teams that are built around that particular philosophy. Baylor, obviously, right there at the top of that conversation as the defending national champions now. Kansas and what Bill Self has built there. Oklahoma State really headed in a promising direction under Mike Boynton. But those are all the types of teams that are going to beat you primarily with scoring. You look at a team that's built the way that Porter Moser's is, it's kind of the antidote to those high octane attacks. And I think this is more Joe Castiglione saying, hey, we're not going to play these other teams' style of ball. We're going to cultivate our own style of ball and make them prove that they can beat us.
Parker, the staff is a big question mark for a lot of the new coaches when they're hired. You bring them in and it's okay. How many folks do you retain? How many do you bring with you from your school? And how many do you take from other schools across the country? As Porter Moser is putting his staff together, what do you make of his job as the new coach of OU as far as building his group of guys?
Well, I think he made two really smart, astute hires right off the bat, bringing in KT Turner, formerly of Texas, as a guy that can bring some recruiting ties to the Lone Star State. And then you bring in a guy in Emmanuel Dildy, who has coaching experience in the Chicago area, most recently at Northwestern, and that strengthens Porter Moser's already significant presence in the Chicago area. Now, one of the things that's going to be really interesting here in the not too distant future, Drake, is to see whether Porter Moser can bring Cameron Krutwig along with him, because Krutwig, as you'll recall, has 1 year of eligibility left because of the COVID-19 eligibility freeze. He was a 4-year starter at Loyola Chicago, the meal ticket in the post for that team. And it kind of the glaring question is he going to stick it out at Loyola Chicago for a 5th year? Is he going to transfer, or is he going to go pro? Now, I'll tell you what, Porter Moser is very optimistic that he's bringing Cameron Krutwig along to Norman to join this new look roster that now obviously includes Eastern Washington transfers Tanner Groves and Jacob Groves. So there's a lot of potential here that Porter Moser could build a really competitive basketball team in 2021-22 that looks very different from the Oklahoma roster that we saw a year ago.
So going from the staff to the roster is where I wanted to get next. You've got a lot of volatility this offseason, not just at Oklahoma, but across the country with guys jumping ship for whatever reason that may be due to COVID-19. I mean, we're up to almost 1,500 players, I think it is now, in the transfer portal trying to find new locations and new homes to play basketball. At OU, it's a destination university from an athletics standpoint across the board. What is going to help a guy like Porter Moser recruit the transfer portal right away?
Well, I think what helps is just the personality that he brings. And also what he was able to do at Loyola Chicago with guys that simply weren't as physically gifted as maybe some of their peers, but that were able to succeed in that system due to really well-coached fundamental basketball. And that's why Cameron Krutwig was as successful as he was at Loyola Chicago. That's why Porter Moser wants to bring him to Norman. And that's why I mentioned the Eastern Washington kids, Tanner Groves and Jacob Groves. You watched those guys, right? You watched the tournament as well as I did. You watched those two combine for 58 against Kansas in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Those guys can play some basketball. They don't look like hoopers, but they can play some basketball. And those are the type of guys that have thrived under Porter Moser. Porter Moser doesn't care what they look like to the rest of the world. He just cares what they can do and how they can produce in his system. He has a vision for every single player. And so I think more than anything, that's going to be his biggest selling point in the transfer portal is, hey, I know how you can be most successful in my system. I've done it with these guys. Here are these guys that are already on board that believe in that vision. Come be a part of that.
Krutwig, obviously, to the outside world, doesn't look like a star basketball player, but he has been. And maybe he brings that to Oklahoma. Along with that, though, you got guys, you talked about Austin Reeves, the Davion Harmons, the Brady Mannix. I mean, Manick now at North Carolina. It's a new-look roster at Oklahoma. What are some of those big moves that folks maybe in Baylor Nation that aren't keeping tabs with OU? What are the big moves that are going to make this team look so different next year?
Yeah, well, obviously, you saw the rush of transfers, the surge of transfers out of the program, not the least of which is Davion Harmon. You saw Alondis Williams hit the portal. You saw Victor Iwakor hit the portal. Right now, Drake, Oklahoma is only going to bring back, for sure, 5 scholarship players from this team last year. So there's going to be a lot of turnover. You saw them bring in the 2 transfers in Tanner Groves and Jacob Groves, so you fill 2 spots right there. You've got 3 very talented incoming freshman guards in Bijan Cortez, Alston Mason, and then CJ Nolan, who's one of the top prep players at any position in the state of Texas. So there's some promise there. Now it just comes down to how you fill out the rest of this roster. And I think Oklahoma is very much in the market for at least 2 to 3 more transfers, because there is talent on this roster, especially bringing in the Groves brothers. But the big question mark is depth, because, like, bottom line, at this point, you've lost more guys than you've brought in. So it comes down to how Moser can close out in the transfer portal over these next few weeks and which guys he's able to bring in, especially at the center forward position. They were in the mix for Fordham big man Joel Soriano before he decided to commit to St. John's. So I think right now, you look at what their starting 5 could look like next year. You're looking at Tanner Groves, Jalen Hill, Jacob Groves, Umoja Gibson, and Elijah Harkless with some really nice options off the bench. It's a good nucleus, but you would like to have a little bit more than that. You would like to have some gravy on top, and I think that's what Moser is going to be looking for via the transfer portal, especially given, as you mentioned, just how many guys are in there right now and the sheer numbers that are currently within that transfer portal.
Parker, last couple of questions here. I'm going to give you a chance to be a little bit more opinionated with these two. Talking about Porter Moser in comparison to the rest of those guys, the Mark Adams, the higher, you got a Mark Adams at Texas Tech, Otzelberger at Iowa State, now Chris Beard obviously moving over to Texas. What gives you confidence that this Porter Moser hire is one of, if not the best, new coaches, new hires in the Big 12?
Well, I think it's just the different style that he brings. And I mean, we've talked about it, but the fact that he's a defensive-oriented coach, and I get that it's not sexy here in 2021 to play that type of basketball, but it's paid off in the past, in the very recent past. Most notably, you look at Tony Bennett, who took Virginia to a national title via that exact same style, that exact same coaching philosophy. And so I think I wouldn't necessarily call it an outsider hire just because Moser was one of the most prominent names, one of the hottest names on this coaching carousel for the last 4 to 5 years at least. But I think it's definitely a unique flavor in terms of the hire for Joe Castiglione and the Sooners. And like I mentioned already, I think it's them signaling to the rest of the Big 12 that we're not going to follow the trends. Whatever the trends are, we're going to set our own trend. And if it pays off, great. If not, we can catch up. We have the type of school and the type of brand that is going to give us the capacity and the ability to recruit well and go toe-to-toe on the recruiting trail with some of these basketball powerhouses. But for now, we're going to bring in a guy in Porter Moser that has demonstrated his ability to coach a mid-major program to great success, and we're going to see what he can do with better facilities, better name recognition, a better contract, better assistant coaches around him, and just see where that takes us over the next 3 to 4 years, and see if in the pretty immediate future here, we can build on what Lon Kruger left behind and get this team in contention for a Final Four.
Parker, speaking of the next 3 to 4 years and early contention for Porter Moser, I want to know, if, in your opinion, what are the next 4 or 5 years going to look like as the Porter Moser era of Oklahoma basketball kicks itself off?
Well, I think one of the things you really got to look for is for Porter Moser to hit that Chicago area really, really hard on the recruiting trail, just because he's got long-standing ties there. That's how he built a successful program at Loyola Chicago, by focusing very specifically on recruiting Chicago. And so especially bringing in Emmanuel Dildy, as I mentioned, I think what you're going to see is Oklahoma try to make a play for some of the more highly regarded basketball prospects in that Chicago area. And then I think every year, just because of the nature of the way that the game is changing and the way that the transfer portal has evolved the game in the NCAA and kind of changed the way that coaches structure their rosters, I think you're going to see Porter Moser become one of the more active coaches in terms of recruiting the transfer portal year in and year out, looking for experienced guys that have maybe come from a mid-major school like Tanner Groves and Jacob Groves, like Joel Soriano, like Cameron Krutwig, for that matter, guys that have demonstrated their ability to succeed and to star at that mid-major level, but that Porter Moser believes he can get a little something extra out of at a Power 5 program going up against some really stiff competition in the Big 12. So in the immediate future, Drake, I don't know what it looks like for Oklahoma. There's a lot still on the table. It depends on how they fill out their roster over the next couple weeks, couple months. But right now, as things stand, I think this is a team that maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, people would have expected was going to take a significant drop off in 2021-22. I don't know that that's the case anymore, especially bringing in Tanner Groves, the Big Sky Player of the Year, to plug an immediate hole in the post for you. And he's a guy that not only can play inside, but can pull up from anywhere on the floor and shoot really well as well. So I think Oklahoma has a lot going for them in the here and now. What's going to be really intriguing is to see how Moser builds on his year 1 success, year 2 success, and kind of the steps he takes to help this team get on the level of a program like a Kansas, like a Baylor, even like a Texas Tech, to be able to contend year in and year out without exception for a berth in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, even Final Four.
Parker, last question here for you before we get to our Bear games. This hire with Porter Moser, I mean, I'm a fan of it. He's a University of Arkansas Little Rock guy. I remember covering a little bit, seeing him work there while he was there. What, though, gives you the confidence? What is it about Porter Moser in a league where you have Bob Huggins, Bill Self, Scott Drew, who now has a national championship ring, Chris Beard, in a league full of great head coaches, great programs? What is going to set Porter Moser apart?
Well, he's done it, and I think that's the biggest thing. As I mentioned before, he is stepping into a situation at Oklahoma where he has more resources at his disposal than he has ever had before. And he's been one of the most successful mid-major coaches over the last decade. Now, what is he going to be able to do with more on his side, more in his corner than he ever has before? And that's what's got to get you excited more than anything else about this hire, is the fact that given what he has done at a program in Loyola Chicago that was not regarded in the national spotlight as a basketball powerhouse by any means, you get to a program like Oklahoma where everybody is hungry for that first national championship, and they've been so close before. You have a guy in Porter Moser who's just got unparalleled drive too. That's the thing. He said in his opening press conference. Hey, if I need to go stand in front of fraternity and sorority houses and hand out tickets, if I need to pass out hot dogs in front of the residence halls, so be it. I'm going to do whatever I need to do in order to drum up public interest in this basketball program, get everybody bought into my vision, and make sure that the Lloyd Noble Center is packed out night in and night out to watch this Oklahoma basketball program and what we're going to do and what we're going to build here in Norman, Oklahoma.
Well, thank you for worrying all of Baylor Nation about Porter Moser, what he's going to do at OU, Parker. I know Scott Drew has definitely established himself as one of the greats when it comes to recruiting out of the transfer portal and putting together now championship teams. But Porter Moser is going to make it a challenge, without a doubt, in the Big 12 Conference. Bear Games question of the day, though, Parker. One Oklahoma player, I'm gonna tailor it to you. One Oklahoma player is solving a Rubik's Cube, and you get $1 million. Who's doing the Rubik's Cube for you?
Ooh, this is interesting. Does it have to be basketball, or can I pick any sport?
Oh, let's go football. But if you've got like a random, oh man, this tennis player is great at Rubik's Cubes, then by all means.
Dude, I'm going with Jeremiah Hall, 100%. That guy is one of the brightest people I've ever talked to. And for those not familiar, he's an H-back for Oklahoma, kind of one of their three-headed monster at the H-back position alongside Austin Stogner and Braden Willis. But yeah, really, really sharp guy. If I had to pick a guy to solve a Rubik's Cube, I think that's who I'm going with, 100%.
Lock it in. Second Bear Games question today, last one here. Gus Malzahn, UCF, put Twitter handles on the back of players' jerseys for their spring game. What do you make of that? Is that the new trend in college athletics in general, I guess?
I mean, that's the advent of NIL right there, Drake. I don't know why I had to try so hard to get NIL out of my mouth, but I mean, that's the kind of thing that you're going to start to see more and more as the game changes, as the game evolves, as the landscape surrounding the NCAA and NIL legislation kind of turns over and cycles over the next few years here. I mean, shoot, Malzahn's doing what he can to try and stay a step ahead of the game. I'll give him credit for it. You know, you do you, man.
He's staying young. Malzahn's finding a way to stay young. Parker, thanks so much for joining the show, giving us some more insight into the new hire, Porter Moser at Oklahoma. Going to be an interesting ride when him and Scott Drew square off come this winter. Bye. I was just saying bye. You can say bye back. Oh, too. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thanks again to Parker Thune, 24/7 Sports in Oklahoma, talking about Porter Moser and the OU hire, new basketball coach in town. Going to make things interesting in the Big 12, to say the least. Final Four coach of Loyola Chicago, and now he's going to try to do it again at Oklahoma. A couple of new transfers from Eastern Washington coming in and bringing in more guys. Maybe Cam Krutwig, the player of the year. He was an All-American. Maybe he joins the roster, too, at Oklahoma. That remains to be seen as Porter Moser establishes his staff and his players, recruiting the transfer portal that all coaches are doing right now. All right, when we come back from this break, we've got Baylor's newest commit joining the show today to talk about why he chose the university. Jonah Burton, preferred walk-on football player, Baylor class of 25, joins the show. Coming up on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. Going to be a good one with Jonah Burton. This is Up Tempo.
It was a super busy weekend in Baylor athletics as two squads wrapped up their 2021 campaigns in postseason play. Starting in volleyball, the onslaught of Nebraska was just too much as the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers swept Baylor 3-0 on Sunday, while the equestrian team also fell in its national semifinal against number 4 SMU 8-6 in Waco. Nonetheless, it was a solid year for both, with a Sweet 16 bid in volleyball and a Final Four bid in equestrian after stunning Auburn. In baseball, the Bears were absolutely dominant on Saturday in a road conference series at Kansas. Baylor's bats were far too much for the Jayhawks to handle as the green and gold swept the doubleheader by scores of 8-2 and 6-2. Yet Sunday's bout was just low scoring enough for Kansas to pull off the upset and take home a 3-2 walk-off win. And the softball team was swept on the road against number 11 Oklahoma State over the weekend by scores of 4-0, 5-1, and 11-3. In tennis, the number 2 Baylor men's team continues to make history as the squad took home the Big 12 regular season championship trophy with a dominating 5-2 victory over number 6 TCU in Fort Worth. It's Michael Woodson's first title at the helm of the program. And the women's team also took care of business with a 4-0 sweep at number 28 Texas Tech yesterday. In golf, the women's team finished day 1 of the Big 12 championships in second place and currently are shooting 5 under 283. And in basketball, highly touted 2021 recruit Ty Washington has narrowed his list of schools down to 6, with Baylor being one of his final few and possibly landing spot for his future. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Monday, folks. So nice we did it twice. The breaks today are something else. How about this? Baylor's newest commitment. Jonah Burton is joining the show today, committing as a preferred walk-on from all the way in California and joining us on Up-Tempo to talk about why he chose Baylor to come with Coach Dave Aranda and play for this team. Jonah, thanks so much for coming on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You know, I think we're battling some internet issues here. We're going to try to work those out the best that we can. But, Jonah, you know, I was checking out your highlights today. Just a stud receiver, some of the things you're able to do on the football field. Walk me through, man, kind of your journey in football and what got you to this point.
Starting off, always loving football. Having my dad been coaching college football, high school football for a very long time, and then growing up in the atmosphere with my brother, it was pretty amazing. Getting to 8th grade, my first tackle football year, playing running back, learning a little bit what tackle football is. Then getting to high school, learning from all the older guys, going to colleges, going D1. It was a dream for me. And then finding this path right here, my senior year, COVID hitting, wasn't the ideal year, but figuring my way with the help of my brother, my family, my dad, my mom. It's been quite a trip.
Jonah, that was my next question for you, man. You know, recruiting's been so different now because of COVID-19. It's changed across the scope of college football. So a lot of guys are getting lost in the shuffle or can't really find a home for themselves strictly because of COVID. For you, how has recruiting looked different because of this pandemic?
It's been a wild trip. My first plan was going Ivy League, like both my sisters. Our family's more or was highly academic, inclined. That was my first take on this COVID year. And then the Ivy League's not playing, it really sent the recruiting sideways. College coaches not knowing who's coming back, how many spots they're going to have to fill, how many spots they have to offer. It's been really rough. And then having coaches say, "Oh, we want to see your first 3 games," and then California not getting to play their game until the last 5 weeks. It's been really rough. And then getting this opportunity to go to Baylor as a walk-on has been pretty amazing. It's a blessing.
Wow. Well, Jonah, you talked about Ivy League and, you know, making it to one of those schools from an academic standpoint. But I call Baylor Ivy League of Texas because of how prestigious it is academically. How much does that matter to you? It sounds like you really value academics and going to a school that puts that first.
Yes, sir. That was a thing my dad always preached. My dad and my mom always preached growing up. B's were barely acceptable. So it's a really big pillar in our household. You always have academics for the rest of your life, and all those connections you create through college is a really big thing for me and my family.
Jonah, I know you're listed as an athlete on your Twitter. That's one of the things that I noticed. And there are a lot of folks that want to get a better idea of maybe what position it is that you'd fit in best. I've seen you listed at receiver. You talked about playing a little bit of running back too. I mean, heck, I'm sure you could punt if somebody asked you to pretty well. Talk about really where you fit in best on the football field.
So over this year, I've been playing almost every single position on the field besides lineman. But I've had call with the coaches, and they said receiver, with this transfer portal happening, everyone's getting a year back. It's been really stacked at receiver. So having me come in, they don't have that many DBs in their roster. So he says after this spring ball comes up, he'll let me know where they need me, and I'll just fit in.
Along with that, you talk about fitting in, playing a position that the coaching staff or the team that you go to wants you to play. And that's what a lot of these coaches want, is somebody that's multifaceted, versatile, and can do just about anything on the football field. Where is it, though, personally? I mean, where is your favorite spot to play that maybe you feel most comfortable?
Most comfortable, I would probably say receiver. My sophomore year, or my freshman 8th grade year, I was always more defensively inclined to learn that side of the ball. And then my sophomore year, I got an opportunity to play varsity, and it was at receiver spot. The team was previously 9th in the nation in high school, and me trying to be on varsity, trying to find a spot in the team so I could help them out, was at receiver. And learning from those coaches and starting training over the summer off season, receiver really clicked with me. I really found a love for it.
Jonah, you talked about your recruiting process and some of these schools. You looked at Ivy League. Who are some of those colleges that you really looked at and valued along with Baylor? I mean, where were some of the good fits that you thought you may find yourself coming this fall?
So the first school from the Ivy Leagues to talk to me most seriously was Cornell. They before this COVID year hit, they knew what was happening. They really liked me. He said, "We really like you. We are offering like 3 or 4 receivers." And then he said he was going to get back to me a week, and then it just never knew when it was going to happen. From Cornell, Princeton, where my sister graduated, Harvard, Yale, Penn, most of the Ivy Leagues all were looking at me, and I was just waiting for one to trigger. But with this COVID year happening, it was really rough. And then away from the Ivy Leagues, my brother at Arizona, some of those coaches were looking at me. California schools like Cal Poly, SLO was coaches were really looking at me. But yeah, again, COVID and the coaches not knowing what's happening really messed up the recruiting.
Jonah, who was it at Baylor that reached out to you? How did you get connected with the coaching staff at Baylor University?
So at Baylor, the head coach, Coach Aranda, my dad coached him in Cal Lutheran, which is a D3 in California. But when he was coaching, I think at Rice, he was recruiting my brother, and I came in 8th grade. He saw me. He said, I want you. So he always looked at me, kept an eye on me since 8th grade year. It's really been, like, I never knew he was watching. Him and my dad were always connected, and that was really a big blessing. And now having a couple calls with Coach Wetzel, he's been really friendly, welcoming me to this team. It's been really cool.
What about Dave Aranda's connection to your area, California? Has that made this a transition that's, that connection made things any easier? Or was that part of the factors that got you to Baylor?
I'm sorry, I just cut out. What was the question?
Coach Aranda himself, being a guy that played football in California for so long and really made his bed as a California high school football player that was so good. Has that been a factor, or was that a factor at all in your recruiting and talking with him?
It has. It was a good point in my recruiting, knowing him, coming from California. He was very recognizable, and it was very welcoming knowing that he knew California kids, and him definitely, it was a big help.
With that, Jonah, I saw you got to visit Baylor, come down to campus, explore things, check it all out. What was that like? What were some of the takeaways from your trip to Waco?
Well, the biggest thing and the first thing I saw, I was talking to another receiver who was actually in the spring game or spring practices. We both saw that it was Southern hospitality, they say. Everyone was welcoming, warm welcome, very nice. And in California, there's some people who are a little mean, a little more stern. And in Texas, everyone was saying, like, the restaurants, God bless, airport, arriving at campus, it was just a really big warm welcome. Seeing the campus, it's a small, particularly small campus compared to some other campuses I've seen, but I like it. Walking distance everything's walking distance, and it felt like a new home.
Not only that, but you talk about Southern hospitality, getting to meet the coaches, being around the coaching staff. From a facilities standpoint here at Baylor, and anything that you got to see from that, I know there aren't any official visits going on, but from what you got to walk around, check out, I saw the RG3 statue. I mean, what did you think about campus as a whole?
Campus as a whole, it was very impressive with the portion of land they had. I didn't really get to see inside the facilities, more around them since due to this dead period, the extended dead period. But it was really cool to get a feel for what I'm going to be a part of for the next couple of years. It was really cool seeing like practice facilities, the water running through the stadium, and like you said, the RG3 statue. My dad was excited reading about him and stuff. So that was really cool.
Wow. Well, Jonah, not only that, Baylor is a big culture university. Folks talk about having that Baylor culture, the Christian faith-based atmosphere here at the university. How well do you think you fit into that? That culture of joy that the basketball team talks about. It's very similar in football, that it's very upstanding, ethical, moral. You already talked about how you value academics. Where do you fit into that word culture?
Being raised in a Christian home, being raised in a church, Baylor being religiously based was a really big part of my selection process, especially with my parents and me. It was almost like God guiding us through this process, some doors closing through COVID, some doors, a lot of these California schools being very selective of who they let in schools across the U.S. It was really eye-opening about how we saw God close all these doors for us. And being always going through Catholic private schools, my high school years. And I think this is going to be like a really good fit, seeing a religious-based school, community, and support. It's going to be really good, I think.
Well, Jonah, I'll leave you off with this, and then we'll get into some of our Bear Games questions here that we have today for you as well. But I want to know, when you factor in everything about Baylor and your commitment, to know that you've committed to this university, this football program, what does that mean to you, and kind of what are the emotions that are going through you right now knowing you will be a Baylor Bear?
It's a big weight off my shoulders. The pressure, thinking about the future of where I'm going to go, what I have to do. I have to keep working. It's a big weight off my shoulders knowing that I have a home, but my work's not done yet. I still have to work for these next 4 years to get my dreams and get my goals. And the emotions going through my head, I was really sad. I'm not particularly sad, but not being able to go to college with my brother, playing those years of football, bonding with my brother at University of Arizona. That was kind of a letdown, but this new door opening was still very exciting. Everyone in my community is surprised. Transferring to this smaller school, I think this was our second or third winning season in over 100 years. A new head coach coming in.
Wow.
And it's a really big shock to everyone, all my friends and family. So that was very exciting. It's very heartwarming, to say the least.
Wow. Well, obviously, we're excited to have you, Jonah, in a Baylor uniform coming soon. I mean, class 2025 rolling out and now being a Baylor Bear. We got our Bear Games questions of the day for you. We'll take a little bit, take some time to have some quirkier stuff. Usually we get out of sports. Today, I want to know this. We were asking folks if they could have one Baylor football player solve a Rubik's Cube, who would it be? I want to ask you, though, how fast could you solve a Rubik's Cube?
I always loved puzzles growing up. I always loved puzzles, but Rubik's Cube, I could never solve. Being the youngest of four, my sisters always tease me, how you don't know how to solve this? But yeah, it'd take me a long time that'd take me a long time.
Got to sit down and think about it. Jonah, on top of that, former Auburn head coach, I should say, Gus Malzahn is now at University of Central Florida, their head football coach. And in their spring game, instead of putting the players' last names on the back of their jerseys, they put their Twitter handles. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on college teams putting Twitter handles on the back of jerseys?
It's something new, I guess. So people can reach out to the players, find out who they are. Football is very different from basketball since you can see basketball players' faces, recognize them. And football players always have a helmet on with maybe visors. So you don't particularly know how football players look. You might know like the big names, but those names who it's really hard. So I think that might be a new step, but a good step too. Finding out and getting more recognizable with the players.
Finding a way to find them on socials, man. That's the new age. It's the new era. Jonah, hey, thanks so much for joining us on the show today and introducing us to you, not just as a football player, but as a person, too. I know Baylor Nation's excited to have you on campus, and the entire fan base believes that we got a steal in getting you down to Waco. Thanks for doing this for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolute pleasure. Again, that was Jonah Burton. Jonah is a Baylor committed to coming down to Waco as a preferred walk-on and being a part of Dave Aranda and his football team. I'll tell you, Jonah's one of those guys that you talked about being an athlete. He's versatile. Not only can he play on the offensive side, wide receiver position, and we saw a bunch of the highlights right there, wide receiver, but also Jonah's got a lot of pedigree and prowess on the defensive side of the ball as well. And what we've seen, I think it's going to be a continuous trend with Ron Roberts and his defense here at Baylor, is the ability to build a strong secondary. Matt Rule, that was one of the things that Baylor struggled with, the secondary play. Look at those Oklahoma games where it was, oh my gosh, here it comes. Even in his third season where Baylor was top 10 team, it was the, oh, here they come. Here comes Oklahoma as the passing onslaught. How's Baylor going to be able to stop it with their secondary? There was a lot of questions, a lot of holes. The linebacker spot was pretty solid, decently solid, but the secondary was questionable. Front 8, good. Back 3, back 4, that's where it was just, okay, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? The age of Baylor football is changing, it seems like, and maybe that's due to personnel or age, but the secondary right now is where most folks have their confidence in the offseason. What we've seen in spring ball, we'll talk to Grayson Grunte for tomorrow on the big board about it as well, it's the secondary that has been so strong for Baylor, for Ron Roberts in the offseason, and it's a secondary that's going to be really strong for Ron Roberts and company coming into next season. And Jalen Petrie is not a guy that I consider to necessarily be someone who's in the secondary for Baylor, but he's one of those names you're like, okay, yeah, you'd probably say Hodges in the guys past, Graylin Arnolds, that were really good at that spot, in the secondary spot, that I think Baylor's going to continue to have that. It's the up front, that front 8 now, you get your question marks. I think the linebacker core is really solid, but that front 3, that's the questions. That's where the questions are raised right now. However, secondary type guy that can play in the secondary. Again, Jonah Burton, preferred walk-on who will come to Baylor, and you heard it from him. He fits the culture, loves the Christian atmosphere, recruited by Cornell really hard, Princeton, Yale. He's an Ivy League guy. It never hurts to have those players on your roster that bring not just the athleticism, that prowess, but also the academic, the love for culture, the appreciation and affinity for faith as well. And Jonah Burton is one of those guys who says he'll play whatever position it takes in college to be able to fit the scheme the best, to help the team the best, and be able to give Baylor an edge. Speaking of Baylor football, how about it? This weekend, we are now like 6 days away, 5-6 days away from the Bears squaring off against, one another. It's the green and gold game this Saturday at noon. Hopefully you guys can make it out. To my understanding, it's free to get in. You just come on in, walk in, enjoy the game. There's a SicEm365 tailgate that'll be going on. For those that can't make the game, ESPN Plus will carry it as the green and gold game is going to go on. I'm excited to see in live action, in a game-type scenario, how well can Gary Bohannon throw the ball 10, 15 or more yards downfield? That's one of those things we never saw Charlie Brewer throw a great deep ball last year. How well can Gary Bohannon do that? How well can Jacob Zeno lead the team from an offensive standpoint? How well can Kyron Drones young buck, younger guy, go out there and look against a defense like Baylor's? How well can Blake Shapen play? Is he a football player? Does he got that football, the football moxie, or has he still got that baseball mechanics that may hinder him this season? Not only that, you look at both of those guys, or those four guys, then you got questions at running back. Squirrel Williams is not out there. So how does Treston Ebner look? Because he decided to come back to Baylor. Also, Quaylon Jones. How does Quaylon Jones look? A lot of questions on the offensive side. Ika on the defensive side, it sounds like it's going to be the dude, that he's going to make a solid difference up front and be somebody that everybody's double teaming the rest of the season. And he's going to be at Baylor for a couple more years, too. So I don't think there are a ton of questions that I have on the defensive side of the ball. We'll be talking on Up-Tempo all week this week about what we're looking forward to seeing this weekend on the offensive side, because it's spring ball time. It is spring ball time, and it's time for the spring game. We're going to find out, rubber meets road here, what exactly Baylor's got right now. It's going to look a lot different in the fall from what it does now when you have Vic Valoria and the training staff building these guys up over the next few months. But it's an idea of, okay, of these quarterbacks, who's going to be able to step up, look good, put it together, and give Baylor a shot to win this season? Because I have yet to see, out of these four guys, I have yet to see a quarterback that stands out as a Division I, legitimate elite Division I quarterback who could help win a conference title for Baylor. Maybe that's not in the cards for the four guys that are on the roster right now, but I really do believe that one of those guys could step it up, make it happen for Baylor. We're going to see the first impressions of that on Saturday when they hit the field. And again, rubber meets road for the first time this spring with a live scrimmage, the green and gold game that is open to the public. You guys can go out, support. It's the first green and gold game under Dave Aranda. We're going to get to see it showcased what him and his squad, him and his staff will put together with this squad this season at Baylor. When we come back, Matthew Postins joins the show. We talked earlier to Parker Thune about Porter Moser, what Porter Moser is going to bring to Oklahoma. One of the things that we're doing this week is we're having analysts from different schools come on, one a day, to talk about their university's basketball programs, being those four schools with new head coaches. So Parker Thune today, we'll hit Iowa State, we'll hit Texas Tech this week, we'll also hit Texas now that we've covered the Oklahoma base. Matthew Postins today, Morgan Uber tomorrow, to also talk about the full realm and full scape of the Big 12 and how these new hires affect the rest of the conference, because there's a lot to break out. We missed a lot of this with Baylor winning the national championship, but there are new hires that are going to change what the Big 12 looks like next season from a basketball standpoint. We talk with Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports next about Porter Moser and the rest of the new hires in the Big 12. Don't go anywhere. This is Up-Tempo.
It was a super busy weekend in Baylor athletics as two squads wrapped up their 2021 campaigns in postseason play. Starting in volleyball, the onslaught of Nebraska was just too much as the number 5 Nebraska Cornhuskers swept Baylor 3-0 on Sunday, while the equestrian team also fell in its national semifinal against number 4 SMU 8-6 in Waco. Nonetheless, it was a solid year for both, with a Sweet 16 bid in volleyball and a Final Four bid in equestrian after stunning Auburn. In baseball, the Bears were absolutely dominant on Saturday in a road conference series at Kansas. Baylor's bats were far too much for the Jayhawks to handle as the green and gold swept the doubleheader by scores of 8-2 and 6-2. Yet Sunday's bout was just low-scoring enough for Kansas to pull off the upset and take home a 3-2 walk-off win. And the softball team was swept on the road against number 11 Oklahoma State over the weekend by scores of 4-0, 5-1, and 11-3. In tennis, the number 2 Baylor men's team continues to make history as the squad took home the Big 12 regular season championship trophy with a dominating 5-2 victory over number 6 TCU in Fort Worth. It's Michael Woodson's first title at the helm of the program. And the women's team also took care of business with a 4-0 sweep at number 28 Texas Tech yesterday. In golf, the women's team finished day 1 of the Big 12 championships in second place and currently are shooting 5 under 283. And in basketball, highly touted 2021 recruit Ty Washington has narrowed his list of schools down to 6, with Baylor being one of his final few and possibly landing spot for his future. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims on your Monday. Starting off your week the right way with Up-Tempo, a Baylor take on your lunch break. And now we're joined by Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports. We talked to Parker Thune earlier about the Porter Moser hire, and I want some insight, maybe less inside perspective. Because, you know, Matthew, some of these beat writers, they love their schools, especially the alumni beat writers. So I got to get your take on this thing too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think overall Porter Moser is a very good hire for them. I mean, for him, this was the right time for him. If he wanted a big major job, this was the time for him to go. He'd been at Loyola Chicago for 10 years, taken him to the Final Four, been to the Sweet 16 this year. He's a quality coach. I think they won 102, 103 games in their last 4 seasons. So, I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to build a program. And, you know, coming to Oklahoma, now he has resources. Yeah. He's not fighting as much with the other schools around the country. One thing Lon Kruger said that I thought was very interesting when he retired was he said he knew Oklahoma had a big brand before he got there, but he didn't know they had a global brand. That was what really kind of surprised him. So now Porter Moser has this global brand at his disposal, and he's already used it to bring in the Groves brothers from Eastern Washington, which is a big get for him when you consider how much they've lost in the transfer portal over the past 2 weeks. Basically, their top 3 scorers from last year are going to be gone unless Devion Hardman decides to come back, but now he's in the portal. The Groves brothers are going to be a big part of what they do next year.
Wow. One of the things, Matthew, that I want to get to first with you, we left Parker off with this question, but I want to get your thoughts first because you covered the whole of the Big 12. Porter Moser is walking into a conference that has Mike Boynton, Scott Drew, national championship winner Scott Drew, national champion Bill Self. You've got Bob Huggins. You're competing against guys, Chris Beard, that have that prowess, that name in college basketball. How is Porter Moser not only supposed to stay afloat in a conference with those guys, but also win and be successful in a conference full of those guys?
Well, I think there has to be first recognition in the administration's part that this year's probably going to be difficult for them. Given what they've lost, it's going to be a really hard year for them. I would hope, I think he'll put a competitive team on the floor, but I think for him, and it even goes to TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State, those 2 coaches especially, even Mark Adams now too, with as much as Texas Tech has lost, with those 3 coaches, there has to be recognition within their programs that this is going to take time for them to build and get where they need to be. Now, in terms of what Moser needs to do to get competitive again, Oklahoma's a battleground now, and it wasn't a battleground 5 years ago with Oklahoma State. It is now with the way Mike Boynton has built up that program, the way that Oral Roberts is now a player, maybe not for 5-star guys, but the way they played in the NCAA tournament this year, they're a player now. And now Tulsa's always a player in that landscape as well. So Oklahoma is more competitive now with Mike Boynton having done what he's done at Oklahoma State. So you've got to start digging into the home turf. But also I think for Moser, especially the next year or two, it's mining Chicago and getting some of those kids to come down here because he's got great ties there. They've got great talent in the Chicagoland area. Using those ties to get a couple of kids to come down here and buy into what Oklahoma's doing, I think that could be a big thing for him too. So it's going to be about using what he knows, but also rolling up his sleeves and getting competitive in the landscape in Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas and, grabbing some of those kids as well.
You talked about being competitive. You've got a list of head coaches in, like I said, Bob Huggins, Scott Drew with the championship, and Bill Self with the championship. Chris Beard went to a championship. What sets him apart? Not necessarily like, hey, how does he stay afloat, but why Porter Moser? Why choose to play for him over one of those other guys if you're exploring as a recruit going to the Big 12?
I think that's going to be the case that he's going to have to make. And I think, number one, you're going to be looking at probably hanging your hat on player development. And I know that's a tricky thing now with the transfer portal and everything else that's developing in college sports. But, they may not be players for 5-star players, immediate 3 and 4-star guys, and developed them. And that, I think, is going to be the sales pitch for Porter Moser early on is come to Oklahoma, give me a couple of years. I'm going to develop you like the guys I developed at Loyola Chicago, getting into the NCAA tournament, getting into the Final Four. It's going to be about finding guys like Buddy Hield who will make that investment for 4 years at a particular program and stay and get better, get ready for the NBA, and make that program competitive. It's going to be a tough sales job. There's no question about it. When you look at the landscape and you look at the coaches in that conference, but Moser at least has a track record that maybe a guy like Mark Adams doesn't have, and TJ Otzelberger doesn't quite have, of getting it done at the mid-major level, developing players, turning 2 and 3-star guys into 4 and 5-star guys. Think of it like Gary Patterson at TCU. He's done that for a decade and a half now, turning 2 and 3-star guys into 4 and 5-star guys. That's what Porter Moser is going to have to do at Oklahoma. So it's going to be a slow build back up, I think, for them. But I think he has the tools and the track record to show players that the ability for him to do that is there for them. But they're going to have to be patient. And with the transfer portal now, 1,400 players in the transfer portal now, there's less patience out there.
Not only that, Matthew, I say not only that on the Porter Moser side, but for Oklahoma, or I say not only that on the Oklahoma side, but for Porter Moser, there have been plenty of jobs that have come open for him, especially after that Final Four run. That first one where Sister Jean pops up on the scene and everybody's talking, hey, Porter Moser, where's he going next? And he stuck it out for another couple of years there at Loyola Chicago. So why now? Why Oklahoma? Not just why now. We talked about that with the transition. This is his time to move. But why Oklahoma for Porter Moser, I should say?
I think part of it, honestly, is Lon Kruger. I think that if you talk to people in the coaching community, they'll tell you that, what is it Seth Greenberg said after Kruger retired? He's your favorite coach's favorite coach. There's an immense amount of respect for Lon Kruger in the coaching community. And I think for Porter Moser, not that any of the other jobs that he might have been offered weren't as good, but when you're going to a place like Oklahoma, which is a big national brand, you're succeeding a guy like Lon Kruger, who built a really good program there for 10 years and pretty much did everything right as far as coaching is concerned. I think you're walking into a situation that even though the talent is kind of migrated away, the administration supports you, you have the resources to develop players, and it's a good situation for you. Now it's a bit of a fish out of water. Moser's an Illinois guy. He's kind of from there, but he did some time with Texas A&M as an assistant coach under Tony Barone. So he knows the landscape a little bit in the Big 12. So that probably doesn't scare him quite as much as it might other coaches. But I think for him, it's a lot about what Lon has built, not just in the program, but just in the culture there, that I think probably attracted him to that job, maybe than some of the other Power 5 jobs that might have been open this year.
Matthew, 4 or 5 year outlook, where do you see Porter Moser at Oklahoma being? One of the things for me too, and I asked you a question then cut off. One of the things that really has stood out to me is with every new basketball hire, fan bases especially, the first thing is like, we're going to win a championship in 5 years. Not everyone can win a championship. Not everyone can be successful. But in your objective opinion, will he, in the next 4 or 5 years, have Oklahoma either at a championship level or be successful as OU's head coach from what you've seen so far?
I think he can. I think it depends on what you define as success. I think at a baseline level in a Power 5 conference, you want to win 20 to 22 games a year. It puts you in contention for the NCAA tournament every year. It puts you in contention for the NIT every year. I think that he has the coaching capability to do that. From there, it's about being successful in the NCAA tournament. And all you have to do is look at Shaka Smart as an object lesson of what happens when you don't win in the NCAA tournament. So in 5 years, I see Oklahoma being back to being a 20-game winning team. I think there'll be a regular NCAA tournament participant or an NIT participant, but where the rubber meets the road on whether he'll be there after year 5 is how well they do in the NCAA tournament. And that's really hard to project with a program like that. I think he has the coaching quality to do it. It's just that the NCAA is the tournament is such a hard thing to predict. When it's right in front of you, rather than 5 years from now, it's hard to know how the Sooners will do. I can tell you this, since their Final Four run, I don't think they've been to the Sweet 16 yet. So I think from inside Oklahoma's perspective, getting back to the Sweet 16 in 5 years, I think that's a good, logical first step for them.
Matthew, this is a very open question, a tough question too, but it opens it up for an open answer as well. How does this hire at Oklahoma affect either Scott Drew or Baylor and their basketball program as a whole?
I don't think it has any impact at all. It's nice when you're the big dog and you've won a national championship and nobody has submitted their name to the transfer portal, and the only players you're losing are the players you were expecting to lose. So you've already recruited the players to replace them. So, I think if we're thinking about recruiting, Scott Drew does such a good job of recruiting the Texas area. He's done a really good job of mining the transfer portal under the radar. We talk a lot about Chris Beard, but all 3 of those top 3 guards for him, 4 when you throw in Flagler, were all transfers. They all just sat a year instead of playing immediately. It's going to be interesting to see if Moser wants to, dip down into Texas a little bit, because, pockets of talent in DFW, Waco, Austin, San Antonio. There's some really good players there. Houston area too. I don't think there would be any impact on Drew's ability to recruit initially within the state of Texas, but maybe 2-3 years down the road, if Moser makes that commitment to recruiting within the state of Texas, then you might see a little bit of an impact. But right now, I don't see any impact at all.
Well, Matthew, I know we're doing a little bit of a shorter spot today. Before we get you out of here, and before our Bear Games questions even, I don't ask this enough. What are you working on right now? I mean, what's some of the stuff now as the off-season looms that you're putting together there for Heartland College Sports?
Oh, gosh, what am I doing now? What am I not doing now? Well, obviously, I'm keeping up with the transfer portal. We've got a transfer tracker at Heartland College Sports. We've got a recruiting tracker, and we've got a signing tracker as well. It's amazing to me how many players are in the transfer portal. I actually had to start following a couple of sites on Twitter and get alerts from them, and my phone goes off every 15 minutes. Yeah. It's insane. But we're starting to get ready for spring football like you guys are down there at Baylor. I was just at an Elite 11 camp yesterday, watching some QB prospects for 2022 and 2023. I have a college football yearbook that I'm an editor of. I'm working on that right now. I also do some work for the Cowboys, sites at SI for Cowboys, Mavericks, Longhorns, and there's one other team I'm missing.
Stars?
Rangers.
Okay.
Yeah, Rangers. Rangers. So I've got a lot of freelance work that I'm doing on the side, but this is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a dead period with the NCAA tournament being over, but I get to catch my breath just a little bit.
Well, Matthew, Bear Games questions of the day before we do get you out of here. This first one being, and I want to know, over the scope of you following college athletics and interviewing college guys, what player that you've been around, just bright kid, that you would have the most confidence in to do a Rubik's Cube? You win $1 million if he does it successfully. Which college player that you've been around is going to do that Rubik's Cube?
Oh, wow. I got to think about that for a second. Oh, man. I've been covering college kids for a long time. There's this women's basketball player that I covered back at SFA in the 90s. I think she's actually from the Waco area. Her name's Kristen Armour. She was our point guard for 4 years. I think I'd put my money down on her to figure it out.
Finding a way. We're going to find, hey, that's not exactly where I thought you would go, but we'll take it out. We'll take it down. And then the last one, Gus Malzahn, Central Florida, they put Twitter handles on the back of their players' jerseys for their spring game this year. What are your thoughts on that? Teams putting Twitter handles on the back of jerseys?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mentioned I've worked on a college football yearbook. It's called College Football America Yearbook. It'll be out this summer. We've been doing it now for 10 years. And, when we first started doing the book, we got I wouldn't say a lot of pushback, but we got some pushback from FBS programs about like adding kids in a photo, that kind of thing. We don't get that nearly as much at the FCS or D2 or D3 levels, that kind of thing. But now you're starting to see like a lot of the Big Ten sites, the team sites, they've got their Twitter handles in their bio. Iowa has it. Wisconsin has it. I think SIDs and athletic directors are getting smarter about understanding how ubiquitous that is with players. And now you also have companies that are actually partnering with universities to help them educate their kids on how to use social media. Like my alma mater, Stephen F. Austin, we have a contract with somebody who actually helps educate our student athletes on how to use Twitter. What's the best way to use it? What's the worst way to use it? That kind of thing. And then when you think about name, image, and likeness, and the fact that it might be coming down the pipeline in the next several months, well, you've been seeing Mark Vidal, marketing his hoodies and his T-shirts. He just hit Cameo last week. I was like, okay, all right, whatever you got to do to hustle, I appreciate it. More and more kids are going to start doing that. So I think what you're seeing is you're starting to see some of these, not the Nick Sabans of the world, but the Gus Malzahns of the world, the Brian Harsons of the world, the younger coaches who understand how that plays into, a player's identity off the field. They're starting to buy into that. And I think that'll end up, I think it's something that is kind of a necessary evil right now, especially once name, image, and likeness hits for good. I don't have a real problem with it. I mean, if a kid wants to put his Twitter handle out there, I think that just means that they want to interact with their fans. They just have to be prepared for the negative things that sometimes come with that, unfortunately.
That's true. I'll tell you what, being an Arkansas guy, I've got tabs on Gus Malzahn. I'm going to clip that and text him that you said younger coaches in the same sentence with Gus Malzahn. I can guarantee you he's going to like that.
Well, hey, in the context of coaching, he is young.
Yeah.
He
carries himself young, though. He's got this very, he's going to be cool and hip and with the times, right?
He does. I like Gus. I especially like the fact that Gus had one of my favorite assistant coaches on his staff at that 2010 team. He had Curtis Looper on that staff. Went to SFA in the 90s, was a running back, was on a playoff team. Curtis is now, I think, the OC at Mizzou now. So, I appreciate the fact that, Curtis was able to enjoy that national championship 10 years ago.
Wow, being an Arkansas guy again. I'm going to clip that and send it to Drinkwitz, who's at Mizzou. And we're just shouting out everybody today. I love it. Hey, Matthew, thanks so much for coming on the show and giving us perspective into Porter Moser and this move for Oklahoma, along with some of your hot college football takes.
Okay, no problem at all.
Pleasure as always. Again, that's Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports. Talking new basketball hire at Oklahoma, Porter Moser from Loyola Chicago, Cam Krutwig, All-American. Final Four run for that program. Now taking the head coaching job at Oklahoma. He's been a couple weeks on the job now. Building his roster for next season. That'll look a whole lot different from how it did last season. All right, we're going to move into today. What we do. We're going to hit a break right there. We're not going to hit a break now. We're going to go into celebrity birthdays. I just realized, I don't think you did because of Armstrong's, because of Music Monday and Armstrong's Minute. I don't think you've talked on the microphone hardly at all today.
Only for Music Monday and
Armstrong's Minute. Wow. Welcome back.
Thanks, bro.
I've missed you on this.
It feels like it's been a busy day.
Yeah. Couple, not
5 guests.
5 guests? Did we have 5 guests?
We had 5 guests today.
Really? That's a record.
That is a record, I think.
I think it ties a record at least. 5's a lot.
5's probably the most you can smash into this show.
Yeah, we do very long stuff with guests too. Yeah. I like the in-depth stuff. It's not you have like 10, 15-minute guests where it's like a, hey, how are you? What are you doing? I like the, hey, how are you? What are you doing? What is your mom doing? What is your dad doing? How is your dad doing? It's like, that's the questions that should be asked. Celebrity birthdays. Lauren Gray, the pop singer, is how old?
Pop singer? Okay, 24.
Pop stars Dua Lipa with the baby. She is 19.
Really?
Pop stars Dua Lipa with the baby.
I wonder how old Dua Lipa is.
Probably like 12, 14.
I would not be surprised.
Jordan Beckham.
I've never seen a picture of Dua Lipa, so.
I haven't either. She just kind of runs together with the Doja Cat person. I don't know. They all run together. Jordan Beckham.
Jordan Beckham.
She's, I think, the daughter. She looks a lot like David Beckham, so we're going to go with that.
30.
17.
Oh, David Beckham's daughter. Okay, that.
Yeah, not wife. James Franco.
Well, 30 would still be a bad guess.
True.
48.
James Franco is 43.
Okay.
Kathy Nesbitt Stein. She's the mother. She's on that Dance Mom show. She's the mother of Vivi Ann Stein.
57.
She's 62. Okay. Kathy Nesbitt Stein's old today. I didn't say that. Joanna Gaines' birthday is today. Yay! Be careful. Be very careful.
No clue.
She's watching.
No clue. I'm going to say...
You're going to go low.
34. 38.
43. She's 43.
Really?
Yeah, she's...
I'm just trying to do math in my head. I don't know how old their kids are.
Tim Curry, movie actor Tim Curry. He is...
50.
He was in Scary Movie 75. I don't know who that is. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille.
Shakir is his son.
Really?
Yeah.
19?
19, yeah.
Really?
Oh, no, he's 18. He's 18. I take it back. Dang it. Candace Parker. Parker.
34.
35. 35. Troy Polamalu's how old today? This is surprising to me.
40. Really?
40. I thought he was older than that. He retired like 6 years ago.
That makes sense.
Ashley Judd.
33?
53.
I don't
You know where she went to college?
I don't really know who that is.
So Smoola, the rapper.
So Smoola. 20. 3.
27. So smoola.
So smooth.
If I was a rapper and I was 27 years old, I would bury myself in a bunker for 365 days. That's the most dangerous age. You know the 27 Club?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you got the reference. This day in sports history, first Boston Marathon, BAA road race, won by John J. McDermott.
1892.
1897.
Oh!
Yeah, the world's oldest annual marathon, inspired by the success of the first marathon at the 96 Summer Olympics.
Shoot.
Highest scoring MLB opening game. The Phils beat the Braves 19-17 in 10 innings.
1940.
1900. Oh, there's a bunch of Boston marathons today. I don't care. I care about Grand Nationals.
Is the Boston Marathon happening today?
Not today. It's Monday, I don't think. Yankees switched from the third base to the first base dugout in what year?
It's in October. I don't know. 1920?
46. Oh my gosh. The LA Clippers end their season with a 12-70 record in what year? That's horrendous.
12-70?
Yeah.
1980.
87. George Foreman is beaten by Evander Holyfield.
Would have been like 1980.
91. It was in 91.
I have no concept of that boxing
That
timeline.
era. 114th Boston Marathon. Robert Caperdi. No. Oh, you know what that means. Gosh dang it.
Later, guys.
That's it. That's all of it. That is it. 3 full hours. 5 whole guests.
Flew by, actually.
Huh?
Kind of flew by.
It did fly by a little bit. Not a ton. Tomorrow we'll be back to do it again, though. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. You can dream it. You can be it. This has been Uptempo.